Hello. Welcome to the
Hello.
podcast.
Hey, Wooly, how you doing?
Not too bad. Glad to see you all or hear you all there. You can't it doesn't work with an audio medium. You can't do the hi everybody to the audience
Yeah,
thing.
you can. You say, hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Glad you're all here, even if you're not, or if you're in the future. Hey, future people, which is statistically the vast majority of you. Pull up a chair and or just lie on the floor like a piece of shit.
Good morning and hello to only the tic-tac shaped UFO that Commander Fravor saw, and only that tic-tac shaped UFO.
Only that one?
Only that one. No good morning to anyone else.
You know, Jimmy Kimmel Live is like pretty terrible. But there is one thing from his show that made me laugh super hard, and it was the one of the celebrities reading mean tweet bits.
Oh yeah.
And one was, "Hey everybody, hope you have a good weekend, except Lisa Kudrow, fuck that bitch."
What?
There's just something about
The random celebrity call out.
yeah, just like, hey everybody, let's get out there. Except for you, De Niro, go to hell. Like what? What?
But it's
why?
like Lisa. What did Lisa Kudrow do? She
I
was on,
don't know. She was weird on. She's Phoebe on the Friends.
and then she did the comeback, and then the comeback season 2, and that's it.
That's
Lisa Kudrow never hurt anybody.
She sang that song about a stinky cat on Friends. I remember that.
It is funny if like complete rando celebrity gets hate for zero reason whatsoever.
That's why when I'm streaming occasionally, all of it, I'll be like, "Oh, chat, you know I like all of you except for you," and I'll like point at the chat and like I hope like 10 people think that they're the you I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think God, it was some time ago. I remember like I was listening to some comedians and they just started shitting on Jewel, the singer.
Like my hands are small, but they are my own.
And
Jewel.
I'm like, Jewel, like what a non-target. Like there's just nothing to say there, you know. So yeah. Anyway,
So what random semi-known target have you decided to exclude from your good mornings today, Wooly?
well, I literally said the entire human race, except for the tic-tac shaped UFO.
Does that even include a human?
It might or it might not. If it's a future human coming to visit, then it includes a human. If it's not, then it's not. And if it's completely nothing, then it's just completely nothing.
What would be worse? Like there's no alien life anywhere, or there is alien life and they are just overtly better than us in every conceivable way?
Fuck that noise. How is Tic Tac as a company not coming out and capitalizing on this situation? They're idiots. What is your marketing department doing? The Tic Tac marketing department can come out and just fucking get all up in this because the Tic Tac is being used as a descriptor, and that's free cash money.
Well, yeah, I gotta be really honest. I don't know what the fuck you were talking about.
Really? Wow. Okay. So, basically, there's been this story for the last couple years or so with this Air Force guy talking about this wild UFO that he saw, and the fact that there were like two other, there was another pilot in another plane that was also there, and they also had their seconds with them, so 4 people in total. And then they're just like, you know, U.S. Air Force people that just have like, you know, pretty straightforward, like I guess trustworthy, you know, records or whatever that would mean. I don't know, but so they have done interviews on all these places, and then like this weekend I think they did one on 60 Minutes. So 60 Minutes was like, yo, we're going to do a segment on this weird UFO thing. What's up? You know, and then they're basically just like going, hey, we're doing a segment on this, and also the government has released things saying, yeah, we don't know what the fuck that is, but apparently there's some weird something, and it could be nothing, but it could be something, and it's more than someone random's.
I have the answer to that question.
Okay, but did you hear? You said you have no idea what I'm talking about. Does that ring a bell at all?
Yeah.
Okay, you heard about that thing. No? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, that's the short summary of it.
Okay. Where do the Tic Tacs come in?
Well, the thing that they claim to see is apparently Tic Tac shaped.
Like the box or the mint?
The actual mint itself.
Okay, so it's oval.
Yeah. Otherwise, if it was a box, I suppose they would just describe it as a rectangle.
I have a sneaking suspicion that might be fucking nothing.
Yeah, probably. But
just a suspicion.
But it's probably nothing. But it's just one of those weird things where it's like, okay, so like why does like I guess 60 Minutes and then the government officially like get involved in the talking about this nothing, you know? It's just like, okay, what's different about this nothing as opposed to all the other nothings that made these people want to get involved with it?
Do you have any idea how many
I don't know.
weird things our governments have gotten up to?
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure the CIA had like psychic explosion experiments.
Totally.
That they ended up making a George Clooney movie about called The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Sure did.
Turns out they couldn't do it.
Nope.
They couldn't make the goats blow up.
Nope. So let's go back to sprinkling crack in the hood.
I mean, that's observable.
Yeah. You got to fund Iran-Contra somehow, you know? So you do what you got to do. But, yeah, I don't know. It's the weird one. The weirdness of this one, I think I brought it up once before. But, like, the weirdness of this one, because it's the same story as that one. It's just now it was on 60 Minutes, is just the part where, like, there's an official government statement on this footage going, like, yeah, that's a thing. Here it is. We're releasing it. And then this guy and the people that are backing him up are, like, they don't have quack history. So there's just, like, why would this random, like, otherwise normal pilot come out and start being crazy? And it's like, humongous shrugs. Probably nothing. In fact, I meant for it to be...
I have, like, multiple real answers for you, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, look, human beings love attention, so you can never discount what anyone who seems to be credible will do for attention, you know?
As somebody who has come onto this podcast and told outright lies so that people get mad and I can have a little giggle in my heart, let me tell you, it fucking rules.
Yeah.
It's super good. It feels really good.
But if you were like a fucking like air serviceman of some kind, and like a super brilliant, you know, pilot, I would have to take what you say at slightly more face value than
No, you don't.
a Let's Player.
No, you don't. I mean, you can choose to be like, no. Yeah. That's like saying that I trust my forklift driver to tell me about the fucking Insulindian phasmid that they saw outside the warehouse.
You're using the term Insulindian now?
Yeah, well, because I spent so much time talking to people about that fucking bug in Disco Elysium that it's stuck in my brain.
Insulindian Isola. You have to hear it in that voice.
What about the Dole Mamadakwa? How is it Dole Mamadakwa?
I didn't even, if that came by.
Dude, it's a bird that you can't see, but it's like so quiet. It's like below quiet.
Oh, is that a part of the cryptozoology?
Oh yeah, Wooly. There's like hours
All
of
right.
dialogue in
We
description of
just
all those.
folks, for the confused, that was a very seamless transition into Disco Elysium talk. So
Yeah.
if you're lost, that's okay.
You can just talk to them about all sorts of fucking shit. You can
Okay.
talk to them about some kind of fucking stick bug. You can talk to them about a fucking bird that's not real.
Well,
That it's
but
real quiet.
but
You
to,
can
to
talk
answer
to them about, oh man,
to respond to your earlier
love it.
statement, generally speaking, the appeal to authority fallacy
Yeah.
is only a fallacy when the authoritative figure is like just a like not necessarily relevant authority. They're just a person of
Yeah,
influence in some
absolutely.
way. If the person is an authority that actually has the information, then you can appeal to that. You know.
Yeah, but in this particular thing, everybody goes, well, you should believe pilots because, pilots, they're up in the sky, right? And it's like, I believe pilots to tell me about how to fly a plane. I don't trust them particularly to explain atmospheric phenomena. I would trust a weatherman more accurately to tell me about that.
That okay. But there is the part of it of just like, yeah, hey, we had the eyeballs on it, I suppose. But then it would pretty much come down to like you're probably just lying about the story. Then is the way to
Yeah,
take
that's
it, you know,
like
because
there's
there's the part of it, there's the parts of it where it's like this is the filming of the instruments that are recording the thing, and then there's the parts of it where they're describing seeing it with their own eyes and how it moved and stuff.
yeah.
And those are the parts where you're like, okay, well, if we're throwing this out, then we have to throw out all of that, pretty much.
For context, I should really be clear here as to why I just suddenly have this very hardline stance in the sand on this. In my youth, I was so in. I was so in on this shit. I was reading Blue Book, like Project Blue Book, like cover to cover, like just like the truth is fucking out there, and then I hit a point where I was talking about my bullshit, and my dad was like, "That sounds like a bunch of bullshit, Pat. Are you sure it's not bullshit?"
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I was
I don't
like,
have.
well, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, what if every single person just lied?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
oh no! What if they all just lied?"
Which is very, very plausible when no one else is around. But I don't have that baggage on the topic. It's always just been a like type of thing. Well, that's not true. I suppose going back to the earliest years, there was the Bible school discussion, which led to
What if everyone lied, Wooly?
well, yeah, there's that. But no, not that part of it. I mean the part of it where it's like, how are we supposed to biblically interpret like the concept of aliens? And it's like, well, let's go with the idea that God created other creatures, and they're all super super far away, and they're all living in otherwise like paradise type states because they never were tempted and had the fall with Satan to fuck them up. And the Adam and Eve situation, they passed their test.
Going.
And so they are all out there, but humanity is special because we're the ones that are made in the image of God, and they're all watching from the bleachers to see what we do. Because we're
and Jesus came to America and the golden plates
and thus
like you're going down the actual like breadcrumb trail
and thus, like, you know, everyone in not just the beings of heaven but all the other beings in creation are watching Earth as the season finale of sin.
That is like there's like anthrocentric or like, you know,
The ego.
heliocentric or earth-centric.
The ego, I know.
That is
I know.
to the next level.
Yeah. That's part of what, like, I had a wave of just a moment talking. I remember when I was like I had a weird there's a weird point where like I was having a discussion with my dad, and he was kind of he was never super duper in, but he like just kind of like faked the gestures of being in for the sake of like, I don't know, feeling like good enough or whatever. Like, I'll pass the bar at the bare minimum. Yes. Yeah, that book, that's a cool book. Yeah, anyway, can I get in now, you know? And like, yeah, there was just one of those moments of just like yeah, the idea of like the entire existence of the cosmos, like giving a fuck that you pulled your putt a little bit, and then you know, and then like you looked at a porn, and then like all of creation is like, that moment of sin is unforgivable. It's just it's the most like hubris driven, egocentric, insane thought, you know.
You go from all of creation is for us and there's only you, to all of creation is full of others but is still only for you.
Yeah.
Like,
meanwhile, like a couple kilometers that way, out in the ocean, like there's some animal that's like murdering a baby of another animal, and then like and using its fucking carcass to jerk off with, because the animal kingdom is fucking crazy and weird.
Do you know why?
And
dolphins stole LSD from their CIA handlers to have like crazed dolphin sex murder orgies in the ocean?
Why?
They did it so that you could find the Lord.
Okay. Cool.
That's why. Cool. That's why those dolphins did that.
Cool. Like the level of horrendous shit going on in the animal kingdom, and it's like, yeah, also, but that's all that's a different thing, and you get to see it happening over there, and don't think too hard about why that goes down the way it does. But everyone cares about what we do, though. Every sperm is sacred.
You ever see that you know, like, hey, see how big the universe is thing? And then it's like you keep zooming out, and it's like galaxy and like sun sizes and whatever. And then you get to like the absolute like top end view of the universe, and it just says don't masturbate.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Right. Yeah. Like did you ever hear about the fucking like the hippopotamus what's it called, like harem biology? Did you?
No.
So like there's a whole thing about hippos where there's like the dominant, you know, the leader and the male that basically gets to mate with all the other female hippos, right? And like, and it's one of these things where there have been reported times where just out of nowhere, like the male hippo will just go to like a young child hippo, a baby hippo, and just rip it apart, just out of nowhere. Just massive, crazy, random infanticide, you know? And like there's all these studies about like, what the fuck, why did that happen, what's the reason, what's the cause and stuff. And then there's like they're trying to figure out like what the possible reasons were, and then like they're kind of breaking down like what all the different possibilities of threats and things it could be. And the only possible one is the idea that like there's a period of time where the female hippo is no longer like in like mating season or whatever, and like by killing its existing kid, then it goes back into that period where it can be mated with again, and then the male can now have his own kids instead. And it's this super fucked up thing, and you're like, yeah, God's all about making that happen in nature, and that's totally cool. But don't look at the porn, though. Don't jerk off. Meanwhile, that's happening in the wild, unfettered by itself. You know? That's the fucking... That's the way they came right off the Noah's Ark, and they started doing that. You know? Wild, crazy shit. Wild, crazy shit. There's a plague animal fact for you.
Cool. That was significantly darker than I was expecting.
Yep.
Didn't have the mental shield up in
Yep.
place for that one.
Okay. Yep, that's a guard break, because it's like, this happens, that's horrifying. Why does this happen? What is the only thing that changes? The female hippo goes back into breeding mode.
I gotta
horrifying.
Is it possible that hippos are jerks?
Based on the kill count and the leaderboard, I'm gonna say yes.
Like, I think back to Bart's elephant Stampy behaving badly at the animal reserve, and Simpson's joke being like, well, sometimes animals are just jerks. I've known a lot of animals in my life. Some animals are just jerks.
But like,
that is a thing.
But like, I spent my entire childhood reading these magazines and learning about these cool animals and seeing fun pictures of them, and then watching Discovery Channel and seeing like just the coolest shit, because there's all this fun, amazing, incredible stuff to learn about nature out there. And then there's these really fucking dark secret nukes that just get buried in the like, we don't need to, we can keep that one way over there, that happen as in nature as well. And like, it's fucking like, it is you triple take when you see it. Well, I don't know, man. I was watching. Go ahead.
Well, because nature's bad.
You know what I did this morning? I was watching footage of the ibex,
that weird
rams,
deer?
Yeah, that like climb on dams, and like it's like a fully fucking vertical wall, and they just climb on the slightest little stone sticking out of it to lick the salt.
Yeah, mountain goats can do that. It's super weird.
It's crazy shit. And like and it's all to get a lick of the salt, because they need that salt for their bodies to like for their bones to get stronger, and it's like it does so much for them, so it's worth it for them. Excuse me. But like, the ability for them to climb on what is essentially nothing to make it back up there, and then casually make it back down, and like a mother was doing it, and then the baby was just following, and it was like instinctively, just easily, just like no problem climbing this crazy death wall.
And you're looking at that going, how come I can't do that? I got hands and feet and stuff.
Well, not even just that, but like the baby probably doesn't even have that fucking human vertigo thing we get when you look at a height drop and you go God.
That's not even an innate human characteristic. Some people don't get vertigo.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a genetic trait. One of the weirder things is that down on South Shore there's the Kanawage Reserve.
Okay.
So the native guys down there who there's a long history down there of like talented steelworkers and like bridge builders, and very, very few of them get any sense of vertigo at all, which makes them really, really good at building bridges because they don't feel it.
I guess that's like window washing, right? Like, you can't take that job.
Those guys definitely can't get any fucking vertigo because they'll fucking die and throw up.
Yeah. But like, maybe I'm misusing the word vertigo though, like, because I've never felt like dizzy and thrown up from being at a really dangerous height, but like I get that. I mean, I've never been in like an open parachute plane type height.
You ever been to the top of the CN Tower? Because that's pretty tall.
Not CN. I've done Tokyo Tower, I suppose.
Okay, that's high. That's high as shit.
No, I've looked down from death drops. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. or over the edge of the this not is it the Sears Tower? I think. Yeah. Anyway, one of those high places. Yeah. Anyway, I've been but like I get a sense of like my stomach goes, whoa, you're not supposed to be here, human. You will die.
Yeah.
And like that thing just gives you a big wave of ugh. Or if you look down at the transparent floor in like any of those places.
Oh, my brother and I kept taunting each other until we lied down on it. And if you lie down on it and put your face against the glass and you can't see the borders, the vertigo increases by about 10 times.
There you go. Yep. I mean, I saw one. There's a video of like, or it's a photo actually, of a glass bridge, a suspension bridge, going over this large chasm somewhere. I think it was in China, and like the glass broke, and that was more than enough for me to be like, "Yep, oh, that jet." Like, if the attraction itself is look how safe this glass is, and then the glass breaks, that's my faith shattered in all of these.
That is the Zhang Ji.
You found it?
Glass bridge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Guangdong province.
Okay, so if you found it, there it is. You can see a picture of it broken, and someone who
Hunan. I don't know which of these.
Someone who luckily
I'm looking at I'm looking at a photo of a guy like smashing part of the bridge with a sledgehammer to show off how safe it is.
Yeah, and there's things where the engineer can walk out and show me exactly why the weight ratio is more than fine for whatever the fucking crowd size would be crossing this bridge, and your brains and your stomach is still going to go like, you're not supposed to be here. This is death, human. Like it's just, that's a thing that just fucking kicks in. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't call that vertigo.
There's another glass bridge in China that the wind just blew off the panels.
Cool.
Just blew the glass off the bridge. I'm gonna send you a photo of this nightmare shit.
No, I'm good. I believe you.
No, you will look at it.
I believe in the horror.
No, you have to look at it.
I mean, I'm the one that told you about it.
Yeah.
I've seen
it.
Now
you have to enjoy the thing you told me about.
Well, anyway.
Oh, I sent it to Paige instead, and she's really confused.
Okay, well. That's good. Yes, that photo you just sent me, where the person's hanging on in the middle, that's the exact one I was describing to open this conversation up.
Yeah.
This photo you've sent me is exactly the one I was referring to.
Just pretend it's a different photo.
Oh, wow. Huh. Crazy.
So what's up with you, man?
Not much. What's going on? So yeah, I guess this week, the big thing, obviously, Strive Beta 2 was a lot of my time, and that game has undergone some changes, or rather, the balance changes mainly. Overall, I can say that
I saw that there was like big changes to like air movement, for example.
Say again?
I saw that there were large changes to air movement.
Well, they made basically there was some talk about how like jumping was like really strong, so they did change anti-air properties across the board. Overall, in general, everyone got nerfed more or less. Everyone, this is a toned down version of what they were in Beta 1. Some people got touched more than others, certainly. I think the Potemkin list is pretty up there. That was a humongous list of modifications and changes and hits he got. I'd say the biggest being making Hammerfall now punishable, or returning it to, I guess, like the way it used to be in previous games to a degree.
No.
Well, that's what they did.
That's all I have to say about that.
He can still Kara.
No.
He He can still Kara Mega Fist. He can still Kara Potbuster. Mega Fist is also, you can jab it if you block it clean. The forward moving one at the very least. So that's punishable there. The Potbuster and then Heavenly will still kill and take a round. That's all there. But yes, he's gotten touched. And then Leo as well. Max has been talking about that a bit, but Leo has been changed a bit. But if anything, again, it's like it's not. It kind of turned what used to be like a guaranteed cross-up Rekka combo into a situation where you have to guess a mix-up. So if anyone who's a little confused about my wording there, all it is just a situation that was like guaranteed damage now kind of just creates a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors situation where Leo can still stay on offense. So that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Nago Ryuki is very, very different now. Humongous nerfs, I would say.
What? Really?
Yeah. So the buffs he got were the bite does more damage, and the bite reduces your blood faster.
Right.
Also, his low spinning blade attack is now it leaves both characters at like even. So there's a moment there where either one of you can take a turn or not. Like it's a 0 as opposed to before when it was not as safe. But they made the blood go up even faster. You can do less moves now. You cannot even do anything resembling what you could in the first beta, otherwise you're going to pop right away. It used to be that like he has 3 pips of blood that you can build up, and it used to be that each move built up about half of a pip. Now you get more or less 3 moves and you're full. So it's really like, okay, you have some intentions here. I'd love to know what they are. I'd love to know what you want for this character. Because, like, if it's just a matter of, like, well, just use the bite more, then it's like, okay, but there's a point where people, generally don't fall for that. You have to it gets a lot harder to kind of work it in.
No, just make them fall for it.
Yeah. Imagine if landing a Potbuster was not what gave you the round, but it was what kept you alive. In a way, it's kind of it's so I'm just looking at this going like, I'm sure you have a design idea in mind. I'd love to hear what the explanation is. I assume I'm trying, because
massive changes we've seen between beta 1 and beta 2, etc. We're going to see another batch before final.
I certainly would hope so. And I mean, the thing with all of these, like with fighting games, the hardest thing in the world is to step outside yourself and not just feel the weight of your character and only want and just complain about that, right? Because in every single fighting game, every main of every character has always seen a list of balance changes and went, what the fuck, right? Because you're just tunnel visioned. It's a humongous part.
Trust me, as somebody who's played MOBAs off and on and plays an MMO and has played multiple MMOs, trust me, it's not just fighting games.
Sure.
I still remember back in 2005 talking to friends of mine who were going through like pants shitting meltdowns over Warlock changes.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's and thus you want to like not be this ridiculous reactionary, like, hyperbolic person that's like, oh, game's over, fuck this, they touched my character, but which is why I'm kind of looking at it going like, if you have a game plan here, I'd love for an explanation of what you think it should be officially in some way, or the Rising Thunder thing of going, hey, this is why we nerfed this is what we want you to do instead. Anything like that would be really helpful, because I'm like, as is, when we have to figure it out on our own, it looks as if you kind of just want him to suffer, or Like, do something that'll get you 30 to 40% damage off your opponent, and in exchange, you catch super cancer, and then your life bar is now at 60% down or something like that.
Yeah, good.
You know?
Good. Good.
Like, I
That's
just...
good.
I
That's a good way to design a character.
Well, so here's the other thing, right?
Don't understand. I don't understand what Nago is supposed to be.
We've honestly, like, so us Nago players at this point, we've been resorting to like looking at the past for answers, right? Because maybe the answers lie in the past, right? So
I don't know, man.
So what can we look at? Well, going back to the days of Double X, you had Robokai, who had an overheat meter, and if you overheat, you want to keep his energy high, but if you overheat, then he explodes and falls on the ground, and you lose your momentum, right?
Right.
That's bad. You don't die, but you definitely take an unneeded blow up, and then you possibly concede, your offense in that moment.
But I mean, I when we first had those matches and we talked about them the next week, I described your character popping the blood as a suicide button.
Yes.
Only for you to now tell me one beta later that it is now a faster suicide button that hurts more.
Yes. We have made adjustments so that he will die faster. This is correct. It's like a character, like the character's got Tekken's Pandora system just to himself. We have designed a cool black vampire samurai, and that's too many cool things in one, so we've got to take him down a peg, you know? Anyway, I say this proudly wearing my Nago Ryuki merch. I got the shirt on and everything with the heart logo in the back. You know, I'm very happy with everything about this character in design and aesthetic. But I goddamn don't get what the intention's gonna be here. I was gonna say, like, Robokai is an example. Sin had to eat food to have a similar function where he could cancel special moves into special moves, but if he extended himself, then he would get hungry and then he'd go and then you could hit him, right, for free. So just standing still in a fighting game is a huge punishment enough.
If it was just the burst, okay, but the health loss, like, why?
Mm-hmm. Or even
why?
Think about when Soul uses his dragon install and then he goes down on a knee afterwards and goes,
Yeah, sure. But you get to do a dragon install in exchange for that.
So yeah, we don't know. We don't know. But right now they want you to do less of his moves. And then, when there's matchups like where people are very good at zoning, like Axel, or where they're all over you in the air, like Milia or Chip and stuff like that, you don't have air dashes or anything. You just have to walk slowly on the ground. You'll find there's a lot of rounds that basically went like this. You have that opening moment, and then, like, I get the first hit. I could use a bit of meter I use a bit of blood to push him to the wall and do, again, about 40% damage. And then they wake up from the corner and then they escape, right? And now they've escaped back to the other side of the stage. And I'm one pip of blood away from going overboard. And they're up and they're on the other side. The next thing you do
has to be a bite.
Or just walking slowly and pressing regular buttons, And then I went like, there's just nothing to really do right now. It's confusing. So, there's a beta feedback thing, and one of the things I asked for, even though I believe they're probably just going to check this stuff with a word highlight, whatchamacallit, aggregator, but I asked for patch notes that explain balance changes, because
a lot. That's a
that
lot
would
of
help.
work.
It would go a long way. I think it would help a lot. Just letting people know what the reasons and intentions are.
If anybody who can hear me right now is doing their beta things, survey, please put in "make Potemkin stronger" under notes.
He's no longer a god, but he's still incredibly scary and still very fine. I don't know if you know this, but
Well, of course, Potemkin's always gonna be scary because the way scaling in that
he's
game
doing
works means Potemkin Buster is just a fucking nightmare to your health bar. But grappler give broken. Can I play a grappler and it be broken once, please? They always get nerfed into being like normal or like a little less than normal, and then they end up being bad. Just fuck it, Potemkin Buster full screen. Shut up. Just hit the button. The game is over. I win.
Why even play the video game at that point?
So I could get the fucking.
Just go punch the child and take his quarter.
The brain chemical in my head.
Okay. Well,
doing drugs is bad.
Okay.
Unless you just hit the button for Potemkin Buster.
Well, look, I mean, Octopimp, who was fucking cleaning up all weekend, did exceptionally well with Potemkin. Also, massive shout-outs for him landing the role of Axel in the dub. Really cool news there. That's fun. Overall, yeah, dub voices pretty solid, I gotta say. Like, I like some of them are returning from Exerd, some of them are new, but I left it on dub most of the weekend just to hear out the differences, and yeah, I like the dub. It's not that bad at all. Pretty solid on
it's been my experience with Arc System Works games that my ability to enjoy or / tolerate the dub, depending, is based on like pretty much only one factor, and it's not even how cool the characters sound, and it's basically what the sound of the average hit effect is. So playing Persona Ultimax in English against Aegis is like it's legitimately horrible. It's awful.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything like that, but I did notice that Potemkin in English has occasionally like a low rumbling, like, and
I like that.
Yeah, it's a little like, ooh, what is that? But I don't know what causes it. I don't know if it's just like idle stance or what, There's
Doggo
also some
in English must have a nicer hit because he has that super long taunt that
he does.
I mean,
he does. He has the
what
big
he's saying.
talking about onigiri and its starch resistance and how healthy it is and how it's perfect for warriors on the battlefield because it can be eaten simply, quickly, without preparation or utensils, packaged, preserved, and it gives you all the essential nutrients. Onigiri is a superfood.
Isn't he a vampire?
Yes.
Okay.
He's a nightless, to be specific. Okay. But yeah, his dub is pretty solid, and there's one key thing I wanted to hear to be like, this is my make or break for the dub on it, and it's whenever he loses round one, he just laughs. He has that like ha ha ha, like you beat me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want a good laugh out of it, and the dub version of it is fantastic. So at the end of the day, I'm like, that's the most important part there. That works out. So yeah, I can keep the characters undubbed for this. Street Fighter 4 and 5 were great with the whole set it by character thing, because then you can just pick and choose your favorites. But overall, good stuff. Giovanna got a pretty good dub as well, although they didn't go for the like, I don't even know what to call it, but it's just like there's a particular, in Japanese, Giovanna has this kind of like lazy, Harajuku girl sounding voice.
Yeah, I know what
Like,
you mean. I know what you mean.
it's which is FLCL Haruka, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she has like that kind of, like, yeah, that Gyaro-ish kind of sound, and they definitely didn't go for any English equivalent of that. She sounds great anyway, Haruko, did I get that wrong? Haruko. Anyway,
Her name is hard to say. It's Haruhara Haruko. Like, come on, that's too much Harus.
Other things changed about the game now. Staggering with button mashing is back, which I don't like. There's occasionally
I don't like that.
Moments where you take a big hit and then your character goes whoa, and then you can mash a button to recover faster. I don't want mashing in any games. I don't like it. It doesn't. It's an inconsistent thing. It encourages mistakes. It's not. It's just not a good thing to reintroduce. And like, yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, it might make make you feel like, oh, I can recover better if I just go nuts on the stick or whatever. But it's like it's an antiquated system that needs to go away.
Somebody in the chat just said that they liked it, and I have to say that no, that guy, you don't. You're just saying that to make people mad. You don't actually like it. I'm sorry.
I mean, like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out and had mash to do more damage on your supers while they're happening. But if you mash wrong, you're going to accidentally do your X Factor.
Yeah.
So then everyone had to learn to mash without pressing the fourth button, which the game doesn't tell you.
Mash correctly, goddammit.
So then people are going to make that mistake early on when they're learning how to play the game, where it's like, no, only mash with the correct buttons. And it's like, fucking.
If you motherfuckers
put it in.
Want to mash to escape bad situations, I will point you towards the Virtua Fighter 4 Evo training tutorial about implementing staggered throw breaks in 10 frames, and you go play that fucking shit and enjoy that, you fucking freakazoids.
One of the best things to happen to those mechanics is anime games where, like, Dragon Ball, for example, while you're getting comboed and you want to tech out at the first possible moment, just hold a button down. Any button. Yeah. If you don't hold a button down, you'll drop to the ground, and then you can still be comboed for like a fake combo. But if you hold any button down, you'll flip out at the first possible moment.
Fighting games should be physically easy to play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't mean like you can't have high execution. I'm saying that there's no reason to have a complex input when a simpler input will do exactly the same thing with no change, right? Like, quick recovery should be like a single tap, or hold a button, or don't hold a button.
Mm-hmm.
Just
give you like, there's no reason to decrease precision. I would say so. The system though.
I think that the Fantasy Strike, like, just don't hit anything to automatically tech a throw is kind of genius. Except I've never been able to tech a throw in Fantasy Strike because of muscle memory from 25 years of other games.
That's the only thing stopping you, though, is habits.
Yeah, but they're built in, man.
Yeah. But it was I enjoyed learning how to let go of everything for a moment when I think something's happening. That's a fun, like, new form of, like, input to learn, you can tech a throw by just letting go of all controls, and your character will automatically
can't do it.
tech.
I literally just can't do it. It's so crazy.
It's fun. It's a really cool idea. So system-wise, Guilty Gear Strive lobbies are now introducing the instead of teleporting to where you're going to fight with the swords out, you can go stand on a battle station, which is kind of like, I guess, the previous arcade systems you could sit at.
Why didn't we just do this before?
Well, now what that does is it makes it more clear who's going to fight where and what is happening, but it still does not make the matches link up smoothly. They still struggled to pair up with each other. You still had tons of people trying to challenge, and then the receiver couldn't accept, and then the receiver has to reinitiate the challenge. and then the other person can't accept, and then you try to queue up in the auto training, and then it says the maximum number has been reached. So it still sucks. And at this point, I'm like, if you can't get it functioning the way it did in Rev 2, then we just need to go back to the list of names. Fuck all the cosmetics. There might have been deals coming up for guest costumes. Who cares?
Oh, yeah.
List of names.
It reminds me of a kind of tangential relation, Sonic games, right? There were a lot of 3D Sonic games released in the past 10 years. And some of them were complete garbage. And a couple of them were like okay to pretty good, right? Or at least had cool ideas. Like people liked some parts of Colors, for example. And one of the things that stood out to me a couple years ago was that somebody pointed out that the problem here is that every single fucking game Sonic Team put out for like 15 years needs to be a completely new game that reinvents the whole franchise every time. And they never, ever, ever just go and improve the one good idea they had last time and make it good. And it kind of feels that way with the online lobbies with ArcSys, where like I watched it go from like Exerd to Rev 2 to DBZ to fucking Grand Blue to this. And it's like, it doesn't have to be fucking different every time. One of those worked.
Did it too, yeah.
One of them worked fine. Ultimax had the same lobby system, just to get up to a cab. And then they're just like, but what if it's crazy this time with DBZ? And it's like, it doesn't work.
Well, do you know the most functioning version of these lobbies was the Accent Core Rollback Edition menus, where it literally was just it was a list of names. That's all it was. You go to a lobby, someone joins, you see the name in the list, or you fight a random person in your own ranked list name thing. And Exerd in Rev 2, you could do that like you could search without going to the arcade like setup thing, or you could just do it on a basic menu or whatever. It would be great if they allowed for both. But like then it would perhaps mean that like the people are not going to our like Habbo Hotel fucking thing, and like trying to push that cute cosmetic aspect of it that might be casual friendly is kneecapping the functionality of the main thing you want to do when you play the game.
I'm definitely feeling this weird emotion coming off the game, if that makes any sense, which is a developer sitting there. It's like, I want the player to load up the game and be like, yay, I'm going to go play Guilty Gear, and I'm going to go into the lobby. Oh, look at all the people here. Oh, that guy looks like Soul. That's cool. Let's go have a match. Okay, and it's just like, this represents literally no one's experience. People's experience, I would like to play a match. Match good now.
It represents the experience of those ladies in the commercial in Japan. That's Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear.
It's like that hasn't been the fantasy experience of anyone other than the person making the game, where they want their game to be played like this.
So I'm reminded
of... You could take load screens and all that shit out and just go, like, literally turn the game on and it goes to a character select and you press... you pick your character... and then it just loads you in to the next fight with nothing else. That would be ideal for 99% of people. And there's a reason why that's how arcades work. You just walk up to the cab and go character select, and then you're fighting.
So I'm reminded of like the struggle with the initial version of the game switching over from delay to rollback. And I'm reminded of how when I did the interview, that they said like, hey, this is an internal discussion that's going on. Some people on the team want to go one way, some people want to go another way, and it's currently being decided, you know? And this kind of makes me think like the team that wanted this like cute lobby system in place has not yet let go of the dream. And they have not yet let go of the idea that like this didn't come out the way they wanted it to. It's not moving as smoothly as they hoped it would on paper, and it's now a detriment, right? Someone is hoping to still salvage it for some purpose. They're trying to keep it going, keep it in place, you know, like the sunk cost fallacy is probably involved. And the solution definitely and clearly at this point would be a simple list, you know? I don't imagine we're going to see people who are new players that would have a list and then decide, you know what, fuck this, I'm not as interested because of this basic list system.
I wanted to hang out with my Guilty Gear friends in the lobby, you know?
That, like, I don't think you're going to see any hurt sales or retention from losing out on the Habbo Hotel lobbies. I really don't, you know? Now, that being said, to anyone who hasn't been playing it, touched it, or paid attention to it, I need to make it very explicitly clear that this is just the lobby system. Once the games connect and you match up with somebody, it continues to be immaculate rollback netcode. Man.
A single frame of delay on every match, and it's still so good.
Also,
incredible.
Also, this version of the game added rematch buttons to the end of each match. So now you can hit that rematch button and get right back in there and do a set 2 out of 3 when you're in ranked. Or if you go to the park, you can just rematch forever.
Best change they could have possibly made.
It's incredible. And because what that means is, everyone who played got, if you kept going through it, you got like, I would say like 10 times the matches per hour than you got in beta 1. The ability to just go back to the park and rematch as much as you wanted and do a long set with somebody completely allows you to just like do a first to 10, whatever you want until you're both tired and you just walk away. Right? The rating updates and the match limit thing only applies if you're in the main competitive tower room. If you leave the tower and go to the park room, it's not gonna update and kick you out for rematching. So you would get so many more matches than last time, and that helped a lot because we got to play more of the game overall. It's great. It
says a lot. Hey, what's the best change they made? This one change that gets you out of the lobbies for most of your playtime.
Yeah. So all in all, like, you know, I still relied on my auto matchmaking system. So I would go to I'd go to a room and then wait in training mode, and then I would let waiting training mode do all the work for me. And for the most part, that continued to do its job. But the times where I had to it really does cut out a lot of the headache, you know. But the times where I did try to pair up with people or match specific friends, it just kind of was like, yeah, you're gonna have to struggle to get this connection going. And when you're this close to release, that should not be the case. This should be smooth because we're so close.
Yeah,
to
there's really only, I mean, we're a month off, and with cert that like we're like what, a week, we're like 10 days of changes left possible, like tops.
We are also seeing the replay system implemented and the R code stuff, and well, it no longer causes a minute delay to download someone else's R code.
Thank God.
So that's nice. Although there is a still pretty long lag if you go through, I think, the replay system and then try to find someone's page to favorite it or whatever. But for the most part, I noticed that was working okay. I went back and I was able to watch replays fine. You know, it's all doing what it's supposed to. The ranking post-match screen, one of the questions on the questionnaire is like, do you find the screen cluttered? And it's like, it's the most cluttered thing in the entire game. Like, the amount of shit they're showing after, like, over your win pose, there's like 8 things floating over the screen that are just like, oh my god, guys, just please, like, ah, you know, it is very cluttered. So that needs to be fucking adjusted in some way, you know. But yeah, man, it's fun. You know, it's what it is. I'm noticing that there's at least like hardcore FGC wise, there's a contingency of folks that are just like fully anti-Strive. Like fuck it, they made the game not fun anymore, and I'm tapping out or canceling pre-order or whatever.
I talk to one of those people relatively regularly. I find that opinion fascinating.
Well, I don't, because I notice that it happens every single time a new series starts in a franchise. Literally every single new entry that was not a sequel to or is not an upgraded version of a game, but it's like the brand new thing, you can go back and check the internet logs of people trashing the first version of all new fighters. So in the end, they're probably going to jump back on at some point long after all of that like heat has
I don't know,
died
man.
down.
Maybe they'll just play KOF 12 and 13 to see those delicious sprites.
Maybe, you know. But whatever. That's it doesn't matter. Like that I don't that's, you know, the opinions. I'm not like here to fucking, you know, shit on anyone's like anti-Strive opinions. If they're not having fun with it, then that's their thing. But I still had a lot of fun with the game, and I still greatly look forward to whatever else is coming.
Yeah, my experience has been a lot of people on my timeline have complained about Strive. Like they complain about the air changes or the it's a little less complicated than say Rev 2. And like I just tweet underneath them like I had fun throwing guy with Potemkin online good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to like everyone has different bars for what makes or breaks a game in its like what's purchase worthy, you know, like list. Like if your air mobility is a game breaking, deal breaking facet for you, then yeah, you're not going to buy any game that doesn't feature a particular feeling of air mobility, you know. Or in some cases,
some people just like no buy, no buy, like for real.
Character
that was
specific.
A real thing.
For sure. So we'll see. Although I did retweet this ridiculously stylish combo from Max, or not from Max, but that it was a Max retweet where like Soul is like switching sides 3 times over the course of this fucking juggle on Potemkin, and it's rad stylish, very very fancy. I think we're gonna see some cool shit coming down the line. This is obviously early on, but I just want to hear from the team what they intend for these characters to play like, you know.
I will say there is one part, particularly of like Rev 2 players, that I can absolutely sympathize with their point of view, because if you're the kind of person who likes the way Rev 2 plays and doesn't like the changes to Strive, it's really, really frustrating that Strive is immaculate in the online play, and Rev is fucking not. So the statement of the statement of like, well, just play, you know, the game you like, and it's like playing the game you like, you actually kind of sucks ass compared to playing the game you don't like as much, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah, the inclusion of fantastic netcode like changes your willingness to go back to a game that you like more that doesn't have that netcode.
Yeah,
you know,
like, you can have the chocolate ice cream that the guy has spit on, or you can have vanilla ice cream.
They just announced Samurai Showdown is getting ported to Steam, and like the funniest thing ever is just watching all my friends in the Sam Show community get angry at the announcement, because they're just like, I hate the fact that any Sam Show news just makes me mad now, because this is still a really good game and the netcode's trash, and
it's terrible. Like
anything,
it's really terrible.
And anything we see being announced for it, be it a new character like Amakusa or it being ported to a Steam platform, just means it's another like positive opportunity for a game that has no good way to play online with your friends outside of getting Parsec involved. You know,
It's like, oh, cool, I can go play it on Steam and get mad there.
exactly. That's so the community is just like vex at news from this game. You know, like, man, what a weird place to be in. You know, but anyway, there was a really a fun post about like what DLC should be expected based on data aggregation from the character polls in different regions, right? So it was on the Guilty Gear subreddit, and they basically went to each of the polls from like North America, Europe, Japan, all these things, and they kind of went, okay, for all these regions, what are the most popular characters demanded?
Who do you want?
And who are the ones that are like not even mentioned at all? And by that data, Johnny, Dizzy, and Baiken are the three most popular to return across regions.
That is I can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, those characters are great.
Yeah, so that and then there's no accounting, of course, for like new characters that we don't know because we don't know. When it comes to the ratio of like returning faces versus new, I like 50-50 personally. I know.
Yeah, I agree.
Some people want more returning.
I definitely agree.
I like 50-50.
Because sometimes a new person might be your new favorite, like Hakan, who I love.
Trust the unknown. You don't know. They might have some cool shit for you. And between the new characters that showed up in Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat 11, I'm digging these new characters. I'm like, yeah, give the new a chance, But anyway, so yeah, these are likely going to happen like right off the bat, and we'll get into it once we touch the docket with like the story trailer and stuff. But overall, Strive sitting in a good place with that netcode, and sitting in a good place where it's just stylish and fun, and getting to play as much as you want really just satisfies that itch to get more games in, because we could not get as many games in as we wanted over the first beta. Now we just need to have them iron out those things and hopefully take the L on the lobbies and just give us something simple that works.
What, and give us obbies?
Wop wop.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yep, you did it. You got there. You got it. Beyond that, not much else. I guess, continuing with Disco Elysium, and more to say once we get further, but I did see that you cleared it.
I did cleared Disco Elysium. And I would like to talk about the experience of clearing it, nothing to do with the plot, or even the gameplay, really. Just the experience of it.
I used the word cleared as opposed to beat.
Yeah, I would say that is appropriate. The game does that great thing where you think it's going to be over, and then it's not, and then it's not, and then it's not. But you're like, yeah, when a game does that and it's a bummer, right? And you're like, just end. Like, no, get more, right? Excellent. Ended incredibly well. Strong finish. I've been playing games my whole life, and Wooly, you could probably attest to this too. Games typically end mediocre to bad.
Most of the time.
Good endings are few and far between. Excellent ending. It went into all sorts of places that I could never have possibly imagined. I didn't do it perfect. Like, I didn't get the best sequence of events, but I was thrilled with the ones that I did get, and I immediately wanted to hop back in and play it again.
Go get the rest.
And then maybe after I play it a third time, I'll play on hardcore, because hardcore is substantially more difficult. It's I did a lot of digging into the game's stats afterwards.
Wait, sorry, hold on a second. Like, what could be more difficult about the puzzle adventure point and click nature.
In hardcore mode, the changes are that all roles become much more difficult.
Oh, they just increased the
And
requirement.
yeah, so like
Okay.
the very first check with Clausia, which is like composure, uh like I had like a 5 in composure and I had like a 17% chance.
Okay. And
Like
and
like they are
and the auto healing,
they're
do they? I guess they take that away from you.
no they don't, but drugs don't heal you for as much.
Okay. Okay.
Uh and there was another thing. You do get a little bit more experience
Okay.
to make it balance it out.
Yeah, and when games, preach replay value, and that pretty much means playing the exact same experience a second time and then getting to a deciding choice point and picking a different menu option. That's fuck that. That's not the replay experience I want.
I mean, I could probably replay it with the same stats and goals and still get a significantly different sequence of events.
Like if it's literally just like go back in there and this time betray the child of divination,
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, no, like I want a fully different experience going up to that point. And if you could play a different class entirely, that is a really great way to experience a game from a completely different perspective the second time. And like,
Yeah, so for example,
Disco fucking has that in spades.
In Disco, my original playthrough was something like a penitent, hungover detective, whereas in my next run, I am going to be the class of hardcore drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
The drug addict class, if you would. That changes things very significantly. I don't know if you've been drinking or smoking, but there are tons of mechanics associated with those choices that I did not know even existed.
I haven't, but we talked about it a little bit last week about how, like, yeah, there's recognition of whether or not you've done those things. I realize too that it's like, yeah, there's so much, there's different there are way more ways to be a piece of shit than there are to just be a normal person. So
there are.
So the content lies in choosing what kind of piece of shit to be.
There are multiple forms of shitheadedness.
Exactly.
And
so your feeling of missing out is because you weren't this flavor of asshole.
And I was digging through the thought cabinet to see what I missed, and I missed tons of stuff. And I got to discover something that I thought you might be interested in because you're not playing as a fascist. But the fascist capo type thought cabinet is the only one in the game that just hurts you.
Whoa. Really?
It just hurts you. If you pick options associated with Revolutionary nationhood, it just gives you a point of morale damage.
Oh my god.
Because you're pathetic.
Oh my god. So I noticed this about the game in a completely different way, where they're not fucking around when it comes to like pretending there's a pathway here that might lead to maybe there's validity to this route of being fascist. There's an immediate fuck you every turn. So I talked about the mug before, right? Where the game just says, oh, you're that kind of cop. Okay. And then just shuts off the fun valve. Right. So then the fucking next thing is literally just it's time. It's time for the authority gesture of honor. Right? Do what the most honorable men do. Take your thumb and jam it in your ass. You know? Yeah. And the game is just like, not even, I'm like, man, if they wanted to like pull the wool over your eyes in a way and like go, haha, you shitty fascist, we got you, they would like lead you down a path that eventually started believing that that was the honorable thing that people did historically. And I don't know, it would lead to it. But here they immediately just are like, no, you're a stupid piece of shit. And if you want to be that, you're going to have to commit to doing this dumb thing. Embarrass yourself, fool.
The way
Oink
the
like
way,
a piggy if you want to be a fascist.
Honor actually has nothing to do with the fascism stuff. That's a separate system.
Well, okay, fair enough, but
separate system.
But it's going down that authoritarian road, you know.
The part that got me is, have you found the other mugs yet?
No.
Okay, so in order to become a fascist in that game, it is something that I like legitimately can't believe. You have to find more of the mugs and tell Kim that they represent an honest attempt at inclusive diversity.
Right. Okay, yeah. And ultimately knowing too that he can get fed up at a point is a very major like incentivizer, you know, as well. Like it's very just interesting because it's like I can't believe that, like, because if you, let's say you're playing Max Communard, right, as they go with it, right?
Let's think of that.
It seems to me like they allow you to lean into it and then start with what might sound reasonable, and then immediately on the third prompt go, yes, let's start shooting them in the head. Let's start. You know what I mean? Like they dial it to the extremes and then beyond, you know. And then you learn about Krasma. What's his name?
Krasmazov,
right? And they give you a pathway to go, I'm down with the
it does a great job because it makes fun of everybody. Except for these people get straight up scorn and derision.
Exactly. They don't even play along with you. Like if you go the communist route, they go, let's play a game where you get to try and yell at an old man about his sandwich and see if you can devote that sandwich to the people.
and then eventually, when you unlock the communist quest, they hit you with the gut punch.
Okay.
Because the gut punch for communism specifically is, do you smell that? It smells like communism. It's building again. We have to build it. And
it's about failure.
The question then becomes, what does it smell like? And the answer is, it smells like failure.
Yes.
And the exploration of that quest line is about, with all the high-minded idealism and the revolution, it's the ideology of a bunch of losers.
So, you know, they let you play along until you hit that point, but they don't let the fucking honor-bound play along in that way. You know, they don't let the fascists play in that way. Like, they completely start you off in the fucking clown makeup, and then you have to get past that hurdle and then choose to continue as the game continues to berate you and make fun of you relentlessly. I am what I would assume to be the entire time.
It was something that I felt really strongly after or near the end of the game, but we play. It's part. Disco's a really good jumping off point into like our game's political or whatever, and it's like Disco's the most political thing I've seen in a while, let alone game, right? And it's overtly so. But more than that, the fact that it talks about politics, it talks about a million fucking things, and it was just so satisfying. It was just so satisfying to play a game and experience a narrative that had a lot of stuff that it really wanted to say, whereas most games seem like kind of embarrassed of themselves for having like a strong message, or their developers will just straight up tell you our game has no message, and you're like, fucking what
are these robots struggling for, David? No, questions,
robot
questions,
rights,
things, just, you know.
And come on. It just felt good, and it meant something, and I got to have a lot of great conversations with my chat about all sorts of different fucking shit, and I came away with like
real shit.
like a better understanding of my own beliefs and thoughts about certain topics. It's great. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's transcendental.
Mm-hmm.
It's an instant recommend this year, every year.
Mm-hmm. Though I did definitely like last session, I had a couple moments where I realized that like there's times when you're moving forward with the story and the plot and like events are kind of like going on their path and you can just let it happen, and it's, you know, there's interesting things. And then there's times when you're kind of exploring like the sides, as it were. And in those
you're learning about the stereo investigation.
And in those moments where you're exploring the sides, you're not always going to necessarily be hit with some hot content unless like you basically swerve into the unexpected, massively uncomfortable moment that you didn't see coming, you know?
So I did almost every piece of content in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think I missed out on like 2 sequences total. And it has a genuinely incredible ability to have almost every single thing in the game loop back to something. Like like your day 2?
Yeah.
Things that seem initially laughably tangential do have a thread that goes somewhere else, and then that thing also has a thread that somehow leads back somewhere else. And it is kind of astonishing just how much interconnectedness there is.
I had like a couple of moments where I was just like made massively uncomfortable by the implications of where the scene is about to go almost, and then just go like, oh god, I didn't see this coming, this is not what I want, right? And I realized something, that in most games where you're looking and kind of leaning into like this type of absurdist humor, your character is experiencing other people being crazy at you.
Yes, you're not the source, you're the recipient.
Therefore, you can just ride the rails down this visit and they will be the way they are at you, and then you have to interpret what they are or whatever that is in your own way. Like you fucking run into someone like Kenny, you know, and you have to deal with the Kennys of the world, and you run into the other types of characters in Walking Dead, and then you have to deal with them, and they bring you their flavors, and you can just like go along with to a certain degree or go hard against, but whatever. In this game, there's other normal people around, and guaranteed there will always be at least one standing right next to you. So you are the one who is going to have to bring the fucking crazy to the scene. And in a bunch of cases, it's like I'm talking to the dice maker, and then I fail a check, and then you just start stripping down, and I'm like, oh my god, no, get out, I can't, and it might go somewhere that pays off, but I don't know, and I'm just like, right, it's you have to be the one that does this. The game is not gonna bring that to you. Kuno and Kuno S and Measurehead exist as these extremes that are like fun things that you're gonna walk into, and like they will bring the content to you. But when you're walking around in that empty mall, you are the content. And if you don't necessarily run into a Welcome to Revachol cart driver, a Kuno S, or a Measurehead, or Cindy the Skull, or a Joy, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to be the one who goes down these insane roads. So it just kind of was like, oh wow, yeah, that's the biggest difference here, is other games bring this energy through other characters, and here you have to opt in each time, you know?
Yeah, pass or fail.
Mm-hmm. I mean, although
It's
go ahead.
oh no, after you, after you.
No, I was gonna say, although the honor gesture was the only time in the game so far where the thought, usually when the thought is gonna be created or not, it says opt in or opt
Yeah.
out, and for that
Yeah.
one, it doesn't say opt in or opt out. You just do the thumb gesture or you don't, and if you
Jam it.
don't, then it's gone. Mm-hmm.
Man,
Disco Elysium, man.
A plus plus plus.
Yeah, but you have to
My total
learn these lessons. You have
in-game
to understand what it's trying to do.
run. I looked at the lengths of all my streams and then rounded the hours down to get rid of pre or post stream banter, and I kicked in at about 55 hours.
Okay.
Which makes the like 100% whatever you completionist run about it used to be, I think the average on how long to beat for completionist is like 40 hours.
Okay.
And with my personal playthrough was about 55.
Did you let all dialogue play out?
Hell yeah, I did.
And did you read all options to select?
Well, yeah, I read them, but I didn't read them out loud. I just used my eyeballs.
You clicked. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then for my chat, I would read out my selection
Okay.
as if I were, the cop. I almost said his name. That's relative spoiler. I was the cop man to hit the button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent. Absolutely super, super, super duper excellent. Reading into going into the mechanics of it and finding out like how stats actually work in that game is fascinating. It's so interesting. Like what you want stats at, how many passive checks. There are 9,097 passive checks in the game.
Jesus Christ.
And the way that the check is calculated is, you see passive checks have difficulty levels.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible checks are 18 to 20, and the way they calculate those is your score plus 6. So the only way you can pass a impossible check is to have a score of 12 to 14 in that stat, which is super high.
Yeah, that's pretty much impossible.
I also found out about a mechanic that I didn't know about until I had completed the game, which is at stats 12 and higher, the stats start opening up trap dialogues.
What?
They'll open up dialogues that are specifically filled with nothing but bad options.
Oh, wow. So because you're just a weirdo
because if your authority is level 12, you're a psychopath.
You don't function in society.
You like tell me fuck you, I'm the law, god damn it.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Wow. Well,
I also went and used a bug to create a save in which I have 12 of every stat. And I'm interested to see how that turns out. It's probably unplayable.
oh, that's what Plague did, huh? With the over.
Well, no, he put them up to 9 because I think he used cheat engine. There's a bug you can get every stat to 12 and Esprit de Corps at fucking 14. Which it's super madness.
Coming in at 55 for you is actually, that's good to know. I mean, I know with all my LPs, I take my time. We record less per day, and we also tend to have little interjections and things like that. So, for me, it's definitely going to be a while.
I will say that for the dev perspective, adding the voice acting, absolutely A+ decision. They should, if possible, they should do the next game like that 100%. When I started replaying it, I turned it off because I have heard 80% of it, already, and am thus not going to wait for it to finish anymore, which leads to discussions having characters like yell at me and then cut themselves off constantly.
Fair enough. I know branching through existing trees that you've already done is like, yeah, you're going to hear the same lines a couple times, but I would want to keep it on just to hear the ones that I didn't, and especially for those moments like the voice of Revachol kicking in on Shivers, where it's like, oh, that's a different voice. Those are powerful moments I don't want to miss, so I would keep it on just to catch all of it, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, all that to say,
What's up?
yeah, no, that's cool. And I mean, if you're watching it with us, then like, I mean, I hope you enjoy the ride, because it's gonna be a while. But if it's a fun thing to play and the episodes are enjoyable, then I don't mind it taking long. You know, I do, like, I did the research on, like, okay, this is a huge commitment we're gonna jump on to play a game like this on the channel, but like, I'm like, yeah, but it'll probably be really fun every episode, so I don't mind if it takes a while, you know? That's the way I'm looking at it. Cool. And then, of course, the other thing is we jumped on the Death Battle podcast.
Yep, we gave them a clear winner so that everyone would be happy.
A very fair battle, a very fair discussion.
Very fair.
In the end, looking at the responses from the fans on the Death Battle fans on Twitter, I can clearly see everyone was like, "Wow, that's a really good pick," and they're very happy.
Excellent fight between those two characters.
It was like a game of chess, really, you know. So you can tune in to that over. I think it's posted on Rooster Teeth now, and I think they do eventually post them elsewhere after a little bit of time, but I'm not too sure how the full system works. But yeah, you can go check out Death Battle podcast, Jehuti versus BT from Titanfall, where we jumped on to talk about that fight and how we thought it would go. It's on YouTube. Cool. There you go. Perfect. So check that out. What else is up?
What else is up with you? Are we doing you, or did we switch? I don't know.
I mean, we kind of just went both ways ultimately. Last thing I was going to say is I love the usage and basically internal consistency of using the term disco as a replacement for metal.
Yeah.
You realize that, right? Like, any place you could say, yo, that's fucking metal, you can just say, that's disco, baby. You know? Like, that's explicitly how they're using it so far. Pretty good. Anyway, yeah, no, that's pretty... I mean, my week was Strive. We went into Disco Elysium. Was there anything else of note?
My week was a lot of disco. I also did play a little bit more of Nier Replicant 1.22 yada yada. And I have to say, I'm really surprised, but I'm going to stop streaming it.
Okay.
Because it's very much the same game that it ever was. And that's kind of a problem, because I'm not... It's an issue I have with Yoko Taro's games in terms of replay, because you already replay them.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm essentially going through it for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th times.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the new stuff is at the dead ass end of the 5th route. And it's like I'm kind of I had a situation last week where on Tuesday and Thursday I streamed disco for 8 hours each, and then I did my Wednesday stream for Nier, and I got to like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you know, like,
yeah, totally. And so that's interesting, because I mean, so for me, for for a good while, and I mean, still, like, I'm looking at a lot of what I want to LP in the future and ideas and things, and it's kind of like, okay, well, things that were clearly done back with Best Friends in the past are like not gonna have the same hit when you already know what's coming and what's going on, and you're
Yeah.
just kind of going back through the motions, you know?
The Taro situation, or I don't know what to call it, is that replaying it is okay because the new context or new gameplay, whatever, that is established recontextualizes it, right? Like at the start of Route B, you do the Kaine text thing, right? In which it's like a miniature novel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really crazy. Except I already did that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
So
know, like
what's
it's
what's different for me though is the fact that if there's something I want to show Reggie, then I can go through it for that factor, and
yeah.
that's where we played Demon Souls and it was super worth it because it's like, he gets to see that for the first time, and like
Yeah.
I definitely want to do Nier as well, so like there are new eyeballs to to make the path worth it on my end.
Hmm. Also, I straight up just like Automata more.
Hmm.
I like the setting, the music, and the gameplay better in Automata.
I would
So
I mean, I have to see how like the combat looks at the end state in
mhm.
Replicant, but I would definitely say that like just based on like the things I know, I like Automata more as well.
Mhm.
Um,
And on top of that, one of the reasons that I'm stopping streaming it is that this Thursday onwards for about a week or so, I'm going to be taking some time off because it is finally time to lose the dog's balls.
the dog's
It is
bollocks.
finally time for the dog's bollocks to go away. And I want to take some time off because I want to make sure that he's well taken care of and he's not running around or jumping, and he doesn't try and take his cone off while I'm streaming. So I'm going to take a little bit of time off to take care of my boy. And coming back to Replicant after like 6-7 days off, just to kind of dread it, like that's not going to be good for anybody. That's just so I don't know what I'm going to stream this week. I genuinely have no idea.
Maybe pop back in on Replicant when you get to the new stuff
Like way
down
later
the
at the
line.
end if I keep playing it. But part of the issue is I kind of just don't want to play it at all.
Hmm. Okay.
It's not a situation I've encountered with this game I'm streaming in quite a while. But just um. So there's that, and I don't know if it counts as news or if it counts as my week. But it's the 14 FanFest stuff. Is that news? Is that on the docket? Because there's a ton of stuff that happened.
That's you because I mean you covered the entire thing, right?
Yeah, I covered the FanFest like opening ceremony where they
Mm-hmm.
showed all the new shit,
Mm-hmm.
and then I watched the vast majority of it. So yeah, we can talk about that
So
as
my
part of my week.
friends are in my DMs talking about thirst for man bunnies.
So
The
I'm gonna
hentai
go
has
through
started
this.
flowing.
I'm gonna go through this in order of show off, right? They
Something about
showed
a
off
Bloodborne.
they showed off the big final trailer for Endwalker, which is the best CG trailer Square has ever made. Genuinely impressive, particularly from a musical perspective, because they do that thing where the Endwalker theme hits, and then they show the Heavensward characters with the Heavensward theme,
Not
and
just
then Stormblood
FF14, you
character.
mean overall.
Yeah, ever.
Okay.
And then they show the Stormblood characters with a remixed Stormblood theme, and it has this rising feeling of remember those years and those years and those years and those
Mm-hmm.
years. They're all coming together, and very excited. They showed off the new areas that we'll be going to, one of which is one that's been talked about since 1.0 that I'm glad we'll finally get to go to. It's called Sherlan. Um, They showed off the new class, which is kind of not surprise to anybody, even me, even though I wanted it to be a different one, which is just you probably saw it. It's a straight up Bloodborne man.
It's a fucking Bloodborne.
It's a Bloodborne man.
You got the Bloodborne hat and the Bloodborne scythe. You're a Reaper, and you're dressed like a fucking Reaper. Bloodborne.
If we were going to get the scythe,
I will not be told otherwise.
I'm really actually mad that it's called Reaper, because that's such a fucking shitty name. You could have called it anything. I would have taken Reaver over. I would have taken Hunter over, right?
Hunter.
It's a DPS class that uses maiming armor, and it has a stand. It has a ghost that fights with it.
Guess what?
Is just a stand.
No one hates a Bloodborne.
Yeah.
It's still cool.
There's other than that, there's actually not that much known about it, because they show off the trailer, the same thing they did with Sage, where they go, look at all the abilities, but if you don't have like the knowledge of what those abilities actually literally do, there's not much you can actually intuit from the class. It's just a bunch of fancy animations.
Did they reveal this class by having that motherfucker dress up on stage and walk out wearing it?
That's is that the third time? Because he did that for Samurai.
Okay.
And he did that. Did he do that for something else? I can't remember. But yeah, Yoshi P comes out and dresses up as the class.
Excuse to spend company money on a giant cosplay. I respect it.
So he was like, oh, he did it for Gunbreaker as well. It was this sad thing because he's under the lights, and you saw the costume probably. It's like chin to toe leather, and he started talking about how it's really hot, and you could see him visibly becoming shinier as the night went on. And like there was this moment of like, is he going to fucking fall over? Because boy, he looks like he is going to die. So one of the things that's really interesting is that I've watched almost every single one of these FF14 like shows or fan fests, and they do this thing for every single live letter and every single goddamn fan fest, and it's the same thing, and it's always the worst. Where they go, hey everybody, here's the trailer, and you watch the trailer, yay! They go, hey, here's the new class, and we'll talk about the new class, yay! And here's the new location we'll go to, and here's some concept art of the new place. You go, yeah. And then they go, all right, here's the back end stuff. And usually that's really boring. Usually the back end thing is like the most boring thing in the world. They'll say stuff like, oh, we're updating glamour pieces. You can have 10 instead of 8 now. You know, just
sure. It's not the new shiny shit. It's the changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Except this time. This time they talked about 2 like back end features that are actually a huge deal. The number one of which is they're adding something called data center visiting. So an MMO has its servers, and the servers are on a data center, right? They have initially, a little while ago, made it so you can visit any server on your data center. So for North America, there's Primal, Aether, and Crystal, right? So if you were on Primal and I was on Primal, no matter what server we're on, we could play together.
Without paying to transfer.
But not if you're on Aether, because the data centers are not there. They announced that with 6.0, they will have data center cross-server play. So you might have to go to a menu, but you can play with everyone, everywhere, on every server. It's a great feature. It's legitimately fantastic.
Cool.
You can go play with your friends in Europe for a night, if you can deal with the latency. And then the second thing is that there is a particular group of countries in Southeast Asia and Oceania that have the shittiest latency possible with this game, because they have the choice of connecting to Japan or North America, and both of those are bad choices for their latency.
They don't have their own.
So they announced that they were going to get an oceanic server farm in Australia.
Okay.
So Australians will no longer be guaranteed a minimum 250 ms ping. They will actually be able to play the game like it's a regular game for humans.
Can you check someone's ping and connection quality before they go out on a raid with you?
No. But you'll know. You'll know. So here's how you can tell if somebody has a bad ping. They're not going to move out of the way of an AoE. Then they're going to die. Then their corpse is going to slide to avoid the AoE that was 10 seconds ago.
I love that. Yeah. I've seen
right?
that happen
Like
in other games.
it's like, oh man, they totally on their end moved out of the way, and just the way that the servers connected caused this stupid shit to happen.
Just face
So,
down. Yeah.
there were Australian players in my chat when we were watching it going, I no longer have to predict AoE markers. So if your ping is bad enough, you have to play the game going, okay, you have to learn fights by heart without the markers to go, well, this will be here, this will be here, this will be here. And it's way more difficult. So very, very happy for Australasia and such. And then they get into the really boring shit where they announce the collector's editions and they announce the merch. And that shit goes on for like a half hour. And then you go to buy it and it's sold out. And you're like, damn it. And then like it's the same as all Japanese presentations. All the really crazy stuff's right at the beginning. And then it just gets more and more boring the longer you go. Okay. And then they usually finish off like, make sure to get tickets to this event, and it's like, and it even though it was like an exciting event, you're just like
a concert or something like that. Yeah.
But for the first time in quite a while, they actually did, by the way, just one more thing. And the just one more thing is, yes, they are going to bring Bunny Mans to FF14, which caused all my social media platforms to just explode.
So
in crazed bun man thirst.
Okay, so from my perspective, having now played with that character creator, I saw the races where they just cowered it out, and I do recall that was one of them, where they're like they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't.
The Hrothgar, which is the lion people, they also cowered it out, and they announced that Bunny Mans are first. But later, they will absolutely do lion women.
Okay.
That is confirmed. That will be happening.
So, outside of that initial observation of the cowarding out, has this been a massive demand for a long time?
As soon as they announced female Viera, within that night, chat for every event onwards is like literally nothing but bunny boys, male Viera, when is male Viera, for like a year and a half, like non-stop, just absolutely non-stop.
Do they roll it out? Did they roll it out the way they did just because of like Japanese preferences?
No, they rolled it out going, listen, it's a lot of money to make a new character model and fit all the gear onto them. The female Viera are the only ones that have ever appeared in Final Fantasy. They're the popular ones. Let's put that in. No one will care.
Right, and then over here we've got... Right. Yeah, okay, sure. But I mean, but we saw like the Ronzo, right? And they just kind of... They spent the time and money to do that. So, okay, well, anyway, yeah, sure.
So people took a look at the trailer, and the trailer has the bunny mans appearing in places that people know. So they took their bunny women's to those locations, only to discover that the bunny dudes are super short compared to the chicks. They are sexually dimorphous in that the chicks are huge.
Okay. So
it is absolutely that meme of that bunny who is obsessed with his girlfriend who is 4 times his size.
Okay. So that's the play.
The other thing that I think everyone recognized instantly is that the instant the trailer came up, everyone was like, look at those twinks. Holy shit.
Okay.
Holy actual shit.
So
I can't believe it.
They rolled up.
You know the phrase, I want that twink obliterated? They're talking about these guys.
So they rolled up with the fire trucks and they cracked open the fucking hydrant and just hosed everybody off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
So everybody happy with all that. So that part, like the in terms of like, hey, get excited for Endwalker. Everybody's very thrilled, except for the part the release date's in the fucking end of November. But with COVID and all that,
Is that long for these announcements?
Final Fantasy 14 expansions have come out every single year in June, without exception.
But the announcement to the release, I mean.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're getting the last patch for we're getting the last patch for current content next week, which means it will be like 180 days from the last patch to the expansion, which is a long time. So if you want to catch up, anybody out there, you got tons of time to catch up.
And how many
More
levels
than enough.
does the free trial allow?
60. You can.
Yeah.
That's Final Fantasy 14 has the free trial up to level 60, which includes the critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward for free.
I fought someone on Strive whose name was that, by the way.
Yeah! But yeah, no, that it's kind of smart because they gotta do it good. They can't rush it. It's the big one. But like, yeah, there's more than enough time for the average person to go, I think I want to get into 14 and go like from level 1 to 80 and be completely set up and done for the expansion to come out. For people like me that play the game all the time, oh man, I'm probably actually just gonna straight up not play all that much 14 in the next 6 months. There's only so much I have left to do in the fucking game before the expansion comes out, but I mean, that's that.
So when
the rest of FanFest, what's that, sorry?
When a new race drops, does everyone... I mean, I know everyone goes and makes a new character in a certain job class, but does everyone go and make a new race character as well?
Oh, no. The way 14 works is that your character can have every job possible, so what they do is you just buy a $5 Fantasia and just race change.
Oh, okay. And then try it out for whatever, and then switch
Yeah,
back.
so for example, I changed from my big guy last night to like a smaller dude. Because I just felt like it.
Oh. Well, that's pretty painless. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. If you want to change your name, it's a thing, and if you want to change your race, it's a different thing. So surprisingly enough, the rest of FanFest was
No,
just as
I am not
interesting.
making any IRL jokes about that. We're moving on. It was a little...
Oh.
We just go right past
It's only $5, dude.
Cost of a burger.
Like that. Problem solved.
Problem.
Well, it depends. Regardless. The rest of FanFest was just as interesting in a way that was a lot more personally affecting that a lot of people probably weren't expecting. Did you see the fucking hyper-cursed performance of Lahi by Masayoshi Soken with the onomonophones? Well, I don't know how to say those. The little musical note
Automatones. Automatone. I didn't see it, but I know what those are. Those things are hilarious.
Okay, so he got up on stage with like their pianist and just started squawking the lyrics to this nonsense song he made up, playing the fucking orchestral theme on like automatones and just screaming while this lady on the piano is like trying not to freak out and run away behind him. It was incredible.
It's good shit. Those things, their faces open up and they scream.
But then at the end of ceremonies, which by the way, Soken's a Guinness World Record holder for like most original pieces of music for a single thing for 14. He got that in like years ago at like for Heavensward, I think, or something. It was at 384. So he's definitely got it. But they announced that for the past year or more, Soken had been fighting cancer. and in fact had recorded all of the 5.3 music, which includes the song To the Edge, which features a ticking doomsday clock in it, from his hospital bed doing chemo.
Holy fuck. What a beast.
And he is now in remission. But he was like, I want to keep working. I need something to do. I need to feel normal. And just worked all the way through it and made some of the best music of his career. The lyrics to the Edge are now like kind of nihilistically terrifying because they're about
if you apply the context.
Dying and being forgotten. And Yoshi P talked about how happy he was to have his friend back and just started bawling his eyes out on stage.
I did see that screenshot, actually. Yeah. I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but I saw that picture with the quote.
And it's just like, and that's why Welcome Back Soken was trending on Twitter that day. And people were having a bunch of events, like they were going out and killing a bunch of crabs in game named Cancer in his honor.
Okay.
Just making gigantic player lettering of like people standing in a lettering. You can see the word "soaken" from the air.
Poor crabs, man. It's not their fault. That's the association.
Yes, it's their. What's really funny is that quest is called "It's Not Lupus." And you have to fight a giant crab named Cancer.
And they were just going for a fucking
house
joke. Yeah, I was gonna say Hitch for some reason. House.
Why do you keep saying Hitch?
When did I say it before?
Like 2 months ago, you were talking about Hitch for some reason.
2 months ago is a while ago, but
it is.
I don't remember what that was, but I don't know what I was trying to think of House, and for some reason the word Hitch came to brain because it's the Will Smith fucking thing. I don't know.
But yeah, regardless, yeah. So Soken currently has beaten Cancer, and puts the soundtrack of the game into a like wildly different context. Of like this music was written by a man on his ostensible deathbed. Yeah. And it was incredible then.
That'll do that. I'm reminded of I was looking back the other day when Reggie and I were playing Katamari and like we were just looking up the history behind a bunch of those songs, and like you take one of the songs that everyone loves, Lonely Rolling Star, and you learn about the history behind that being this like the singer who was trying her best to get her career off the ground and had multiple failures, and then like her friend that she used to sing with like died in a car accident, and then this was the song she wrote to her, and then that's the one song she finally had that blew up, and it's just like this kind of like holy fuck, like that's a real ass song, it changes the context when you find out what those lyrics are actually about, for sure.
So yeah, the Fan Fest this year was unexpectedly momentous, and that's a good game that is free to play up to level 60. Includes the critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward. So if you want to check it out, you check it out. And that was pretty much it for my week. If you want to see whatever the fuck I'm streaming, I don't know, maybe I'll stream Days Gone because I hate myself. You can check that out at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt.
There's nothing for you there.
I don't know. Doc says it's good. I don't trust him. He's smart, but I don't know, man.
Doc Squiddy says a lot of things.
Yeah. I had a weird moment talking to me the other day. I'm like, hey, dude, did you ever play Disco Elysium? And like, he came back 5 minutes later with the credits that says very much special thanks to Doc in the fucking credits of Disco Elysium.
Whoa. That's a flex.
And I'm like, okay.
You could have just said yes.
He could have said yeah.
Cool. Well, over Wooly versus continuing Disco Elysium, of course. And I'll see how it go, but There's another new LP I'd like to start for the short game slot. We might get that rolling out, or depending on how the week goes, we might try something a little more fun. So stay tuned. I'll put the schedule up on my Twitter. That's going to be Disco Elysium, and then, of course, get into fighting games on the weekend. So more information coming. Wooly versus on Twitch and Twitter. We're going to take a sponsor break, but would you like to go empty yourself before we do that?
I need to empty both myself and this dog.
Good.
Who is awakened now.
BRB after the emptying. All right. Quick word from our sponsors.
Hey, sponsors.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by Brooklinen. So, yeah, we talked about them not too long ago. This is what is up when you are wearing you're trying to get cozy in your bed, and you probably have some kind of cheap, low thread count, terrible, cold covering that is just not doing the job. Did you know thread count was a thing? Did you know that they count the
I've
number
known
of
that
threads?
for many, many years.
The thread count matters. The thread count is tied to the comfort. So you want to get in there with the higher quality sheets, and this is where Brooklinen steps in. You know, I mean,
you definitely want a thread count higher than 5.
yes. I mean, I'll tell you, whenever it's as we hit these months that are, approaching the truest full summertime, sometimes you want to have those nights where you sleep with a window open, and you just have a nice little summer breeze coming in, and nothing accentuates that feeling better than some good quality sheets for your body temperature regulation.
I gotta say, I'm an idiot. I like, no matter how hot or cold it is, I need to have a sheet. Even
Yeah,
if the sheet only covers like one knee down to 1 foot, if I don't have a good sheet, I am done for sleep. It's
I
not gonna happen.
I agree. I can pass out on top of a bed without anything, but I usually, if there's any kind of chill, will wake up feeling a bit of a lump in my throat, or just like the beginnings of a cold kind of thing, where your body's
And
like,
you don't
you
want
should have
that
stayed
feeling
warm.
nowadays. That feeling is now existential terror. That
It's not
shit
a
needs to
good.
go.
Yeah, that's a bad. So avoid all that and get yourself into something comfy. Not to mention, not just sheets, but you also got Brooklinen with the bedding, the loungewear, towels, robes, all the stuff that you need to sleep in comfort and style. They could hook you up with. So, the name, of course, being the pun on the location. You see, it's a Brooklyn, but it's linen at the same time. In case that you get, did you get that part? Did you get
Yeah,
it?
it's sheets from a brook.
Right, that's what we're doing again.
They're small
Okay.
river sheets.
Okay. Nope. But
Wholesome.
they are luxury quality, available directly to you without the luxury level markups. You're getting an amazing array of all of these bedtime essentials at a reasonable price. Something for every comfort level. Seasonal refreshes are available, and you can, of course, get any of their core products with a 365-day warranty. So their fans are confident too. They've received over 75,000 5-star reviews and counting. So customer service is around. They can get to, what is that? Clearly they get to their 8 hours every night, because they're a dream to work with if you ever have an issue. Okay, so great customer service, and a 1-year warranty on everything you're looking for. So get yourself some quality sleepwear. Sometimes when you go to bed and you wake up in the morning, you're all blurry feeling, and that's probably because you didn't get a good night's sleep. But if you get a good night's sleep, you'll wake up clear and in focus and ready to attack the day. And that's where you want to get some Brooklinen.
I want to punch my day in the face because I am not blurry from having bad sheets.
So give yourself the comfort to refresh your day, and get it with Brooklinen. Go to brooklinen.com and use promo code SUPERBEAST to get $20 off with the minimum purchase of $100. That's BROOKLINEN.com, and enter promo code SUPERBEAST for $20 off with a minimum purchase of $100. That's brooklinen.com, promo code SUPERBEAST. Thanks, Brooklinen.
Thanks, Brooklinen.
All right. This week, The podcast is also sponsored by HelloFresh. You see, it's like saying hello to the fresh food that you will be receiving straight to your door. Get it?
You know what? I've used HelloFresh. Back in the beginning of the pandemic, when I was like terrified of all food, I'm like, HelloFresh will have me up. And when I was using it, it was really good.
It's
like I made some nice meals with it.
Mm-hmm. And you felt
and
good
I'll tell you
you
what,
made them.
I'll tell you what. The other day, I had some food and it was pretty good. But later, it was so disastrous to my body that it made me look at my bathroom and go, I got to scrub this toilet because of the damage that was caused to my life.
Well, let's not talk about that. But
when I was eating from HelloFresh, that never happened.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But let's definitely talk about the fact that when you make it yourself, you get to add that special extra ingredient, love.
That's true.
And the love stays inside.
Yeah.
Doesn't come out.
Well, I mean,
it stays inside.
I got distracted. What are we talking about? Yeah, right. Okay.
HelloFresh is going to send you pre-measured ingredients, fresh, mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. You can skip the trips to the grocery store. You can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy and affordable. That's why it is America's #1 meal kit. Canada's here too. But
legitimately, yeah. I love making stuff with it because it really catered to my cooking needs, because it was, here's the instructions, but more than that, here's the little bag per ingredient that I can stack up all nice. And so then when I'm going through the instructions, just this one, right? It's just, it was painless.
There you go. Cuts out all the stress. You get right to the preparation, 30 minutes or less. And, they've even got meals that can be ready in 20 minutes or less. They've got the lingering prep recipes, quick breakfasts, lunches, perfect for your busy schedule if you need to get stuff put together even faster than that. 25 plus recipes to choose from each week. Vegetarian meals to craft burgers, extra special gourmet options, something for everyone. You got a large variety no matter what your nutritional needs are. They got professional chefs putting these all together to make sure it's delicious and simple. So, yeah, you're definitely going to want to, get the ease of good recipes delivered straight to you. And as you've mentioned, you get to feel good about the part where you do it.
Yeah, I made Paige like this wonderful, pretty looking fish, and she was like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "I made it." And I felt good.
So go to HelloFresh.com/SuperBeast12 and use code SuperBeast12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/SuperBeast12 and use code SuperBeast12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. Yeah, that's America's #1 meal kit. Thank you, HelloFresh.
Thanks, HelloFresh.
And last but not least, we've got a new sponsor checking us out.
New sponsor.
This week, Castle Super Beast is sponsored by Bespoke Post.
What is Bespoke Post?
Bespoke Post is where you go, where you can get a box of awesome. So basically, it's different boxes that have whatever kinds of essentials suit your life needs. They can hook you up, whether it's you're doing like stuff that can be helpful in the wilderness, whether it's stuff that will help you at home, if you are like getting ready for the summer. It's basically a bunch of stuff that guys want to use that can cover various needs. It's a multi-purpose functional box. Basically, you go take a quiz at boxofawesome.com, and your answers help them pick out the right box of awesome for you. They release new boxes each month in a ton of different categories, free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. And each box, it costs $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. So, for example, one of the boxes they got going was that I thought was pretty cool was the Retreat, where it is essentially a box that comes with a hammock and a outdoor blanket that is good for just if you want to hook it up to two trees, if you want to hit the park, if you want to go, perhaps like on the roof, if you've got a someplace in the sun to enjoy the summer. I got a hammock and and a sheet to just hook right up, and that's that month's box of awesome. And it's like, yo, go chill outside in nature. That's my kind of style.
And the very first thing I saw when I went to this web page was like some measuring cups and a hatchet.
Yeah. So,
dude, I could totally use a hatchet for all sorts of shit around the house.
I could use a hammock right now, but if that's not even my flavor, then you can hook yourself up with, they got like Shine, which comes with a stylish pair of shades and some summer wear stuff. You got Grow for growing your own ingredients and recipes and plants at home. A multi-purpose everyday carry keychain that's got multiple clips, tools on it, including a grappling hook for retrieving items built onto your keychain. A great outdoors giant knife. They got, literally just a ridiculously large variety of tools for whatever you're going to be up to. So yeah, check them out. Let them know what you're looking for, and they will read your mind and hook you up with what you need after you fill out the Box of Awesome quiz. So you can get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter code SUPERBEAST at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code SUPERBEAST for 20% off your first box. One more time, that's boxofawesome.com and code SUPERBEAST at checkout to get 20% off your first box. Thank you, Bespoke Post. Box of Awesome.
Thanks, Bespoke Post.
Yes, I did say a grappling hook. That's correct.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need one to get on your roof, man.
No. Grappling hook for retrieving objects, not people.
Oh. Sometimes you need to retrieve someone from your roof, man.
Some things, objects, not people.
Sometimes you need to retrieve some guy's things off your roof, man.
There you go. So I forgot to mention it earlier, but one of the things, so yeah, we did the Death Battle podcast. I also appeared on a special episode of JM Party, which is basically JM Crofts, a member of the FGC, has a show that is Fighting Game Jeopardy. And I was quite...
you ought to sweep that shit.
Well, I was quite surprised because a couple years ago, I was trying to get this show done myself. This is one of my projects that I never got off the ground, unfortunately.
And you were told nobody gives a shit about fighting games, get out of my office.
Less so that, more so trouble with getting the guests on a regular basis. Because I'm like, I love the idea of like all this little stupid fighting game trivia. Because, yeah, that's what my fucking brain is rolling on half the time. So I never got it done. Back a couple years ago. Instead, I did eventually convert things into a JoJo Jeopardy form that I did do. So,
did you ever think at any point to call it Joe Jeopardy?
Yes, I did.
Why not?
Joe Jeopardy was actually the logo. That was made for the board. Because then people wouldn't find it when they looked for it.
That's true.
The actual board and sign for the thing is Joe Jeopardy. But like when you look for the actual name of the event, it's called JoJo Jeopardy, just so that people
should have just
understand what it is when they see it.
You should have just called it J3 and just bury that in the SEO.
Exactly. So the pun is great when you know what it is and who I am. The pun doesn't work when you don't know either of those things. Nonetheless, that I did manage to get done. But yes, J.M. Crofts did, seems like about perhaps a year ago or so, he started getting these episodes down. And there's some really fun ones out there. Sejam coming on, Jay Wong, and a bunch of other just FGC people coming in to do Fighting Game Jeopardy. And yeah, he asked me to come on for a special episode they're doing for Combo Breaker. And that'll be airing during Combo Breaker. I believe Maximilian as well was on an episode. So that was pretty cool. They put me up against some folks. I don't think I can say too much about the details of it, but check out Combo Breaker online. That's going to be streaming sometime soon. I believe they've announced their info. And during the tournament, there's going to be in between segments that are going to be our episodes of Fighting Game Jeopardy. It was a lot of fun. That's something that, I'm like reaching into the barrel and pulling out something that's actually helpful for once in my life. They said it would never pay off, but look at me now.
I mean, this specific thing still didn't pay off.
No, it did not. At all in the slightest. But it's something. I would love, but it's so cool that I'm glad that honestly that Jam Crofts got the idea going and is doing it successfully, because it's such a fun concept, and I mean it's as fun to play as it is to host, so
man, you better tweet that shit.
Well, I can't talk about the outcomes, but tune into Combo Breaker to see. So this week in the news, what do we got here? So
what do we have in the news? Did anything happen?
A couple things happened. We can start with the bomb-ass hype release of Calculator on Switch. I don't know if you knew.
Isn't that thing like $10?
Apparently so. Yeah, it was on DSiWare. It was $10 too as well, or whatever. It's
holy shit.
You got to pay for a Calculator app, but it's Calculator though. It's Calculator, and quite frankly, I think it's been too long since we've forgotten about the days of pocket electronic organizers. Only your ballerist friends had pocket organizers back in the day in school, and we should have all of our portable consoles having pocket organizer apps on them.
You know what this makes me think of, and this is barely applicable, but it makes me think of the argument I had at least once a week, every week of my life, from the age of 6 to 17, which was show your work. When you go to work and you need to do math, they're going to need you to show your work, and you won't have a calculator. And the answer I would give back to them was, that's not true. That's not true. Why would they not let me have a calculator at my job? Well, what if you don't have one?
Yeah. But also, they said you were going to need algebra in real life.
Which is the bigger lie? Which is the bigger lie? That they won't let you use a calculator at your profession and you'll need algebra, or if you don't write cursive, no one will take you seriously as an adult.
Okay, the cursive one is personal because cursive is the first form of writing I learned officially.
Okay.
I never learned regular handwriting.
Okay, but like straight up, well, you need to know how to write cursive because when you're an adult, if you print, no one will read your thing and you won't be able to sign checks.
Well, to be fair to those idiots, they did not know the world would become digital and leave them behind. But the calculator thing was a lie. The cursive thing became obsolete. So I think the calculator is the bigger lie.
No, there were typewriters for decades.
But not everyone was going to use a typewriter to write basic things, notes to themselves every day, or little post-its or whatever, or sign checks.
Yeah, but if you need to write a basic note, you have to print it so other people can read it.
Sure, but but there still is the signing of checks as a thing that might happen from time to time. It's just not a big deal.
With a smiley face.
Yeah, it's just not a big deal, right? Whereas you do not have a calculator provided to you at work. Like, that is just a lie.
I mean, it's not quite as big of a lie, but I also think back to my typing teacher on the typewriters that we were using. She was like, the test was you have to be able to type it at this speed, and you can't erase your mistakes, because in the future when you're working on typewriters you won't be able to erase your mistakes because whiteout looks unprofessional. And we would turn to the teacher and be like, we're working on computers in every other class. And she would stumble over, clearly drunk, going, I don't care, this is my class.
I mean, at the end of the day...
Put your fingers on the home keys. You get dock points if you don't have your fingers on the home keys.
Ultimately, they were all stupid and wrong about what they taught you, and we all wasted our time learning this dumb shit in school. If the concept of a smartphone existed in anyone's heads at the time, we would have had a very, very different curriculum.
I try and think, like, English, all the classes that I thought were useless growing up ended up being the only classes that had value, funnily enough. History, okay, I learned some stuff in history. That's useful. English and French, those were useful classes. Shop was actually very useful. And home ec was actually very useful.
Economics was handy.
I didn't have an economics class in my high school.
Okay, that was useful.
And everything else, I learned so much more, so much faster at home, just dicking around on the internets.
Sure. In fact, I would say that the most useful class of anything I've ever taken in my life was in my illustration program. We had one teacher who knew that, like, he was talking to a bunch of art students, and he knew that this whole program was going to have a mixture of people coming from fine arts and a mixture of people coming from, like, technical sides of things, and people that just had no concept of what the actual real world was going to be like looking for a job. And so he, as a professional who did, like, like house drawings and illustrations and technical things, went, I'm going to teach you guys business practices and literally how to get a job. Just professional practice.
For art students, that's vital, because they can't use their degree to get one.
So this is where the type of class that I took in particular, I'll stand on the grounds that, like, this is a much better and more useful program than, like, a lot of the other dumb art programs, because, like, the specific point of illustration and design is art that is going to land you commercial work, right?
Yeah.
So we had a class that was learning line drawing, and then the application of that was then to learn how to do blueprints for a house. That is a job. You can go on to be someone who draws house blueprints. That's a career. That's the type of things we learned how to do.
It's fascinating, because I knew a lot of art students in that same period of my life, and I got to see three types of people. One was you and people like you who got an education that had, like, a realistic, like, kind of almost backup basis on their art careers. And then the other two were both ends of disaster, which was people who had a teacher who literally never brought up the concept of money once, and went on to become artists that habitually, like, charged, like, fucking lower the minimum wages for their work, and were just like wretchedly poor as a result. And the opposite, which was teachers that taught them like professional studio metrics on how to get work, like as a long-term professional, and how to calculate your hours, which led them to getting fucking no work at all ever, because they would never compromise any of their
Because the opening
professional
ask,
principles.
yeah, the opening ask,
Like the
would
opening
never,
ask was like, I mean, well, I'm going to work this, and my time is worth this, and so that's my rate. And it's like, oh, where are you going?
yeah, yeah, that is
Like
true.
both ends of that spectrum are disaster.
So this class, God fucking bless Don, because Don, he was the guy that taught us, and he was just so fucking chill. And he was like, okay, this is how the world works. This is how you write a resume. This is how you write a cover letter. This is how you do research on the job you want to apply for. I learned so like I can't hyperbolize how much more useful that one class was than my entire education, you know? And like that was like the outlook going forward, is just like, yeah, this is what you apply in any context where you're working for or with someone and you want to apply any basic like level of professionalism. There's no professionalism class taught to you in elementary school or in high school. This was a class in how to be a fucking professional, you know? It was incredible. Yeah, that's the type of thing that I never forget.
I don't know if it's the most useful class I ever took, but it is one that stands out. And it's ironically enough my introduction to statistics class in CEGEP, which is like a 101 class. It was qualitative methods, and my program required it to graduate. And you wouldn't think that it's that important because it's just statistics, but it did teach me two incredibly vital lessons for the rest of my life. It taught me, one, how easy it is to cheat on shit that looks super official, because I faked a year's worth of statistical results in an afternoon.
Oh my God.
And two, it taught me just how like easy it is to take the same numbers and make them say whatever the fuck you want to say.
Whatever you want to arrange them to say.
And made me gain a much more critical eye to people just pulling random numbers out of their ass.
Create whatever causation you want to by using the same dots on the plot.
It's like I was able. I had a fucking. I was doing a research paper, and it's like, pick any observable behavior where you could like record it statistically. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take I'll go to the metro and I'll record how many people take the stairs versus the escalator, and I'll break them down via height, weight, age, etc. And then me and my partner spent an afternoon and got 10 different pens and created like 400 fake surveys, and then drew up our results and got an A, because statistics are bullshit if no one's watching you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if because I had a class in stats that had a guy that was talking about Stats Canada, and I don't know if you had the same gentleman who was very portly, very round, and very old, and had the whole bottom facial hair going and a weird accent. Did you have that guy?
Oh, the economics guy?
Statistics.
No, I did not have that guy.
Okay. Because he was probably the single most boring teacher I've ever experienced in my entire life. And the understanding I got from that class is like ultimately it's like they kind of just provided you with a book of like existing things that Stats Canada did, and then they more or less asked you to go out and like verify your own version of whether these numbers line up or not. And I don't even. I had a point and it's gone. So it was just fuck it. It's boring. It sucks. Anyway, professional practice was a great class. I don't even know how we got here, but calculator was on Switch. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, calculator's
Jesus.
on Switch.
Wow.
If you're an architect and you can't do the math of the building in your head, they will not let you use a calculator. And I'm like, does that mean buildings just fall over all the time? And they're like, just show your work. 6-year-old, just show your math.
Spend your $10, get your calculator.
Man, it drove my 9th grade teacher up the fucking wall, made her go crazy when she would show me an algebra problem, like the quadratic equation, and she'd be like, "What is it?" And I'd be like, 17. She's like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know." But the number 17, isn't it? She's like, "Show your work." I'm like, "I don't need to. It's right, isn't it?" She's like, "Show it." I'm like, "Why? I know the answer." She's like, "Well, I'm here to teach you how to do it." I'm like, "But I just did it."
No, but if you don't show it, then how do I know you're not cheating?
Because you just stood there and asked me a question that you showed me in 5 seconds. Drove her absolutely fucking crazy. Pissed me off, too, because I have to waste my time showing the work. I used to be really good at math.
Did you, though?
I am no longer really good at math.
Did you? Or did you just experience what we all did, which is I thought I was good at math, and then I found out what good at math is, and my scope expanded, not unlike a basement king in Smash Brothers.
I'm gonna retread this. I was really good at math for my peer group.
Okay. Because
I just found out people in my class.
I just found out what being good at math meant, and it meant that you could do this as a career. You could be that good at math. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that's what good at anything does. Right? We're good at talking about video games.
Fart noises.
Elmo's good at being a cute kitty.
There was a recent poll that was put up on yahoo.jp in which they asked responders, which anime would you most like to receive a Hollywood live-action adaptation? We got the top 10 answers.
What's number 1?
Number 10 is Hunter x Hunter. Tied for 7th place is Slam Dunk, JoJo, and My Hero Academia. Then running up, Detective Conan, Naruto, Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer in 2nd place. But crushing the entire vote count entirely with a power gap to 1st place is Nothing and None.
Which sounds awesome. Right up until you go, wait a second, it says Hollywood live-action adaptation. I actually want to see the question if it is just live-action adaptation, because Japan does love their goddamn terrible Japanese adaptations.
Yes, they do. But the Hollywood specification brings out everyone's ire, and they all say nothing, don't touch it, leave it alone.
Good answer, Japan.
But a bunch of those people are probably thinking we can do it better ourselves anyway, as opposed to no, don't do it at all.
Yeah.
This is true. Can we get, like, Japan reacts to Netflix Death Note? Because that's the kind of thing.
I'm going to type it in, and it may already exist.
I kind of want to see if that exists. I feel like it should. I feel like that's a freebie.
Literally the first March 26, 2017 interview, 5 minutes long, of people on the street.
Okay.
You can literally go watch it right now.
Oh, but people on the street. People on the street are just going to react to the news. They're not going to like actually see the movie itself. Sadly,
let me check.
Okay.
What did you think of the trailer? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we got that. And then of course everyone's got their ideas for things, but Yoko Taro has submitted some
That's
of
right.
his story ideas.
Everyone does have their ideas for things, Wooly.
Yes, they do. Everyone has their ideas for how stories should go. And Yoko Taro has his ideas for how Monster Hunter should go. They're not all going to be gold. Shut up.
All right, yeah, okay. What's Yoko Taro's ideas for Monster Hunter? Are they bleak and depressing?
The last boss arrives, but nothing you can do will harm it. But you can sacrifice one of the twins to make a weapon out of her that will damage it. You, the player, has to choose which of the girls. After creating the weapon, there is no longer singing in the village BGM.
Yeah, that's good. Like there's a lot of those, and by far my favorite of all the ideas is that as you keep playing, more and more NPCs go away, and single player eventually goes away, which leaves you only multiplayer in a destroyed village. As
After
all
clearing
your
all the
does
village
is
quests,
just hunt.
the village is left asunder. You can only play online multiplayer. The players who have lost everything can only go on killing monsters in this cold and barren world. Brackets. Title of the game is shown.
So I have to say, the next Yoko Taro joint, I am very interested in because I've played through and kept up with a number of them, and he's got like 6 cool moves. You know what I mean? Like Yoko Taro has like 6 cool moves that he uses against you to feel emotions.
I know. I know.
And I really want to see if the next one he works on has a 7th cool move, or if he just remixes the ones he's used so far.
I mean, look, they're very cool moves.
They're very good.
And they're being used on different people with different emotions.
Yeah.
But they're good moves.
It's just like when I was reading through this, I'm like, man, this is just literally another Nier game.
During a super hard quest, the target monster is able to talk. They tell you the true meaning behind the monsters and Camera Village, and we learn the reason why our hunter has a voice in this game.
Like it's on the nose.
Yeah.
And also, with that being said, I have to ask, dude, what happened to you, Yoko Taro? Like there's this overwhelming emotion of like, man, your story beats have all these like really horrible, tragic undertones. Are you okay, dude?
I mean, I think like if he's just going for something that like okay, if he's going back to the original Drakengard games and all the earlier shit as well, stuff that goes against often seen tropes, or not tropes, I misused the word tropes, cliches, then that in and of itself can start to become a cliche.
Yeah.
That is a thing that I've learned. Yeah, I don't know. I think he likes when something kind of creeps you out in a real way. They could have made that Queen Beast's reveal more pleasant, but they didn't. They wanted it as real and as scary as possible. They wanted it looking like found footage. He wants to kind of like creep you out, you know?
Yeah.
The move that I never get tired of seeing is, and this is not just a Yoko Taro move. This is a writing and prose in Japanese move. is the one word repeated for an entire paragraph to emphasize the importance of that one word.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that. I never get tired of seeing that one.
I feel like it hits a little harder as symbols rather than words.
Alone. Yep. Oh, yep. Nope. We get it.
I get it. I understand.
It's probably more effective as kanji.
Yeah, probably.
But
hey, I hate to cut this short. Unfortunately, Dumbass is freaking out up there. Apparently, he needs to go outside again, so I'm going to need to take a quick break. Sorry, gang.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so moving on right along, they dropped a trailer for the Strive story mode.
Burger Sheriff.
And we don't know if that's him. There's no confirmation whether or not that old man with the kiss on his eye patch on his lens is going to be the Burger Sheriff from the Exurd New York background. But what we do see is, there she is. It's Arya. And
but it's also actually Jacko.
Well, it's actually Arya, but it's with the Jacko look, which makes sense given the way things go down, given what goes down. And then we also get to see the new look for Aska Arkreutz.
He's been decatboyed.
He's masked off, and he's got a weird, like, Drakengard 3 thing on his eye.
Yeah.
We will find out more, but they're also now clearly and specifically calling attention to the book. So the things that they've been setting up, they're gonna wrap it up. We'll see how it all go.
So you've got more work to do.
Well, I'm going up to Strive, so I'm not that. My goal is to get you to wherever the game is about to start. But yes, I do
guess
actually
that
have.
plume of hair outside of Justice's head was actually her actual hair.
It was the whole time. Yeah.
Now I know.
And there's also little hints at Eno's playing a role in this final conflict of sorts, and it seems to be like a White House Olympus Has Fallen type of plot is what they're setting up.
Mm-hmm.
And the G4 and who knows? It's going to be all kinds of...
way more modern looking than I was expecting.
It was cool to see Nago in context swinging and fighting, and Giovanna flipping around with her suit and doggo on. I want to find out more about her and doggo and what and why they are. So, story plot trailer seems to be like they're just fully I don't know if they're gonna do the same thing as last time and drop the 4-hour movie thing. It would be nice if they kept it perhaps a little more digestible for everybody, because I feel like most people got intimidated by the insane length of those cutscene movies.
You know what I felt like when I looked at that story trailer? That I don't know what's going on anymore.
Well, if you want to find out, tune into Heaven or Hell, Guilty Gear lore, over on Wooly Versus. I got a playlist I just posted, and a link, because a lot of people, when this trailer dropped, and generally when this weekend happened, every time there's an announcement, folks go, okay, time to catch up. What's happening? And then people are like, oh, go check out this series over here. And then I'm like, yeah, here it is. But like, it might not be immediately clear when they come to my Twitter what's going on. Because, I don't know, they might see a retweet of fucking It Takes Two JPEGs or Disco Elysium art. So I put up a little thing and just like, here, you want to learn the Guilty Gear story? Watch this. We got 4 episodes so far. They're all about 20 to 30 minutes, and they reference everything you need to know. There's less important details that have been more or less glossed over, but everything of major importance has been caught and mentioned so far. And you can catch on up with the whole thing if you watch that series.
I just don't know how I'll catch up. I don't know how I'm going to do it in time. Yeah. Actually, come to think of it, my friend Darius at Darius Alt has been streaming all the games. Maybe I could watch those, catch up.
Okay.
Do you think that would be a good way to do it?
You could do that. You could also go to guiltygear.com and see the summaries that they've done too. They've done some stuff. Yep.
I don't know. That seems hard.
Well, anyway, story mode coming. Cool. Quick shout out to an indie game in the works that's coming out in August called Shut Up and Drive, being made by Fabio Fontes, and
That's not a real person. That's a fake pizza name.
Okay, well, I mean, Fontes Ranter on Twitter has this racing game where you are driving and drifting, and occasionally from your drifting you hit a ramp, and then you jet set radio style grind on the railings as you drift, and you do 6 twists and combos and style moves, and then after you jump off the railing, you can land, and when trucks are in your way, you can do fighting game inputs to spin your car around and knock things out of the way.
That sounds great.
It's insanity. You have to see it to understand what I'm describing, but it's fucking madness. Check it out. Shut Up and Drive is a really good name.
It's a really good name.
Yeah. And it's got all that, like, energy that we want from the, 90s arcade racer, drift stage, Daytona,
Oh
USA
no, Rihanna, get out
stuff.
of the way. I'm looking for the video game. I'm not looking for your song lyrics.
Is that her words in a thing?
It's the name of a song.
Oh no. That's a problem. That's bad for branding.
It's super bad. Oh no. Oh no, it's also a Shelley Wright song.
That's very bad for branding.
What if I type in game? Just Shut Up and Drive 2 from 2013? What?
Yeah. Okay.
Might need a different name.
Okay. Well, check out the footage. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fucking cool.
How do I...
I'll retweet it. Here, I'll just retweet it.
How do I do it?
There, I just bumped it.
When you mention games I don't know about, I try and look them up, and now I try to look it up, and I couldn't do it.
Well, to be fair, the indie game, the title of the game is not listed in the tweet showing off the features I'm describing.
Oh, that's
and the
weird.
hashtags are just for indie game, Game Maker Studio, Screenshot Saturday, Game
Oh, I
Dev,
like the
etc.
cell-shaded look it's got.
Yeah, so the title of the game is not listed there. It's only listed on the creator's profile. But it looks fucking crazy. So
It looks great.
check it out. All right. Then we got some answers from Housemarque in regards to Returnal. So apparently they found out about the $70 price tag at the same time as everyone else. Sony's decision to up the retail cost surprised even them, as their usual games were in the $20 and so range. They were showing off versions of this game to Sony, and Sony was very impressed with what they were making over time, and gave them more and more basic leeway to go further with the game, to develop it harder and further and make it a bigger, more polished product. But they did not know what the price point was going to be, and then Sony decided and dropped it for what they wanted.
I have to say, that's wild. I have never heard of that ever. That it hits retail and they're like, huh. It's so, wow, huh. But
I believe it because pricing is not discussed much, if at all, at least when I was thinking with the games I was working on internally. So when you have a publisher, they're going to decide things. So if your publisher is really, really tight with your developer, and or if you're literally in the same building, it might be easier to come across that type of information. But if it's something that's as big and as distant as Sony, I could believe they would literally not have that information outside of, I guess, the toppest, most closed doors, you know?
So I also believe them. However, this is a massive failure of communication on both sides of management, because the cost of the game is something I would expect to go into the pitch. Like, literally step one is, how much is this going to cost?
Probably.
And
in
even
fact,
beyond that, right? Like,
but expanding out from that, if the publisher decides to charge more for it, they can.
yeah, no, totally. But also, like, if you're like working on the game and you're talking with your other developers and you're like, okay, so we pitched it as like a $25 game after 8 months of work, and we've been working on it for 6 years or whatever the fuck it is. Like, you, at some point, someone from Sony goes, you know, we gave you guys a lot of dollars, right?
The discussion should probably happen before they find out at the same time as everyone else does.
Like, it's on Sony for not telling them or having any discussion at all. But also, like, management at Housemarque didn't ask anyone once what the game was going to cost.
They said is they continually impressed Sony with their internal demos, and Sony were funding the game, and with each demo they got a little more availability to scope out and grow the game. So essentially they got more money from Sony as Sony was more and more impressed with it, you know?
This makes the save game discussion completely different. Because one of the biggest points against, like, how come I just lose my run or my save or whatever in this triple A $70 game that I bought, and the response is, I don't know, lol, and now it's like, I don't know, lol, and also we didn't know it was going to be $70.
Yeah. Not to, and also, but they
What
didn't.
the fuck are you guys doing?
They didn't say what they thought it was going to be. They just said that they didn't know that was going to be the case. You know, so it's a weird fucking thing. But that explains at least part of the mystery of how fucking expensive this game was. You know,
We talked about the save thing last week, about, like, their statement on it. Because there's been nothing since, and, like, man, that game is super not going to get a new save system.
Yeah, I closed the run to start Strive Up when the beta went live, and I'm kind of not motivated to go back until they fix this. Because
It might be a real long time.
Yeah, but that's 3 times now that I've had, like, good runs interrupted by not my death, you know?
I mean, Wooly, you've worked you used to work directly in the industry for a long time, and I'm under the impression that if your game save system is fucked up and you have to redo the whole thing from scratch, that is, like, the single most fucked up thing you can ask for.
It is, if there is a save system to begin with. If there is no save system, then nothing is happening outside of the intended design.
Well, there is one, because the game does save the game when you...
But it doesn't
when
maintain your progress. It's just a system save.
It's just a like a ticker of, like, these are unlocked or whatever.
Yep.
They're gonna come out with, like, some shitty workaround in, like, 8 months. And it's gonna suck.
Well, again, I like it a lot, and I want to fucking see this problem go away because I want to play it more, but every time this happens, there's just something that fucking, or an update or whatever it is that just, and then the only answer is clear out the 3-4 hours and just do the whole thing in that sitting. And I mean, like, unfortunately, it's a little harder for me to do that these days with my life than it was back in the past.
I just saw something in the chat that somebody said just go back to passwords, and like there are legitimate advantages to that approach
1,000,000%.
over this thing, which is
Hmm.
like the stupidest possible like end state.
It's
Because I'm
it's
thinking of like, well, a password you could just, if you lost all your shit, you could just skip to the part where you were at.
yeah. Or you can even like give your friend your password and trade them for fun purposes and try out cool runs and stuff. It's annoying to do, but it can be done. Um, and any game that has a seeding system where you can type in a specific seed and get a particular fun thing and then save it and be like, oh, yo, check this out. With a roguelike, especially, that's an extra degree of like, asymmetrical multiplayer fun that you can have by, saving a particularly fun seed and sharing that with your friends. So why not?
Ugh. Stupid. This is stupid.
Anyway, that's going down. We got something pretty fresh, a developing story right now. Details are not entirely all in, but Steven Totillo just posted about, right before we went live, WB Games is getting broken up due to a merger between AT&T WarnerMedia-Discovery, well, that's a mouthful, of the 11 studios that WB Games owns and all their IPs. Some are going to go with the new company, and some of them will stay with AT&T. So I did notice as well, some people were saying in the comments on the story that like this might explain why there's been so much quiet from all of the WB Game studios recently. Expected announcements and things like that have not been coming. And yeah, you're talking about NetherRealm, Rocksteady, whatchamacallit. I keep want to say Telltale, Traveler's Tales. And then, of course, WB Montreal and Boston and all the various other places.
So, isn't it going to be interesting when one of the companies gets the patents to the Nemesis system, but not the rights to develop Batman or Middle-earth games? Therefore, leaving the Nemesis system only appropriate for Sesame Street and Harry Potter?
Wouldn't be the first time a studio didn't get to make the thing that it got famous for inventing.
What a mess.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, no ideas entirely on what all of this is going to mean, but it means it's going to be something. We'll probably find out in the coming days, and if anyone's jobs will be affected as well, because yeah, that's 11 studios, and it used to include Snowblind, who that was one of the offices I got to actually go out on a quote unquote hit squad to go work in Seattle, I want to say it was.
I'd say America.
Yeah. There was a couple times where we got to travel to do QA inside the offices, and that was one of them. So that was an interesting experience, kind of seeing the inner workings of how they did their thing. That was a fucking long-ass time ago, though. Yeah. We shall see. Hope it's all okay. Yeah, her hit squad was the term used to describe getting a squad of testers and sending them on location to the devs' offices to like just get more work done, because essentially if a game's in trouble or just needs way more attention than our regular day can give them, we'll need someone there to just cut down on the time from email sending and communication lag, to just have a bunch of testers right in the studio to tell them what's wrong with the game in person.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck, but sir, all hands are on deck. Put them more.
Mm-hmm.
Put them closer to the deck.
Send in the boys. Exactly. That's exactly what we had to do. Yeah. So there we go. And And then over here with that story on Housemarque coming out of IGN, of course, we have the week's events. IGN takes down article and tweet sharing Palestinian aid groups.
Yeah, so this is a fucking mess. So, as anyone paying attention to the world stage, Israel is currently having a, let's call it, what do you want to call it? Because this is important.
A slow, murderous campaign.
Yeah, let's call it. Let's say that Israel's engaging in some light genocide.
Mild ethno-state behavior.
Just a little bit, as a treat. As a result, there's been worldwide outcry, and it includes GameSpot and IGN putting up a page that said, "Hey, man, if you want to donate to help refugees from the Palestinian side of this conflict, here you go. Go here, click this. You can donate money here, here, here." Then the IGN Israel branch, which is a thing I didn't even know IGN had regional branches, posted a thing that was basically going like, this is, we can't believe the main office is saying this and would defend these people, yada yada. We're going to take all steps possible to rectify this misinformation. And then the links and article came down. And then a few hours later, in the middle of the fucking night at like 2:30 a.m. Eastern, which would have been like midnight for the IGN folks out in San Francisco, they posted a statement that I don't think anybody believes they actually wrote about, both sides, and it's real complicated, and it was wrong of us to show favor on a political situation, yada yada. And it's pretty obvious that their parent company came in.
Well, you've got IGN on one side, and then you've got IGN Israel on the other side, and standing next to IGN Israel would be Bill Ziff and Bernard Davis, who collectively, powered by their powers combined, are known as Ziff Davis Media.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that they handily stepped in to right the wrongs, quote unquote, as it were, and get those statements and charity links and everything deleted and scrubbed as quickly as possible.
I think the most obvious truism of just exactly what this is that in the statement they put out, it was like, it's complicated, both sides, yada yada. The IGN Israel statement is still up right now. That did not get taken down or altered in any way, despite being very, very clear in its stance.
Well, it's quite similar to the last time this occurred, when IGN Hutus did not like what was being said over by IGN Tutsis, you see. And the decision to step in and get involved in a manner that I would say try to make an equivalent in the situation was not quite successful.
Real? Or is this a real thing you're describing?
This is not a real thing I'm describing.
Okay.
I'm describing an immensely historic asymmetrical situation.
Okay. I'm like, those are really specific IGN branches. Have I lost my fucking mind?
I am mocking the asymmetry of the situation with another historical asymmetrical event.
All right. Okay. I thought I was losing it. I thought I was going crazy. I believe GameSpot's links are still up, which is extra weird.
Well, the story as reported, it happened, and then Twitter immediately caught it. And I want to say this is probably my favorite usage of the dark side grabbing Superman's cape meme, because it's like
Yeah.
Superman's walking off screen and it says IGN deleting their article, and then the internet is dark side just grabbing the cape like, where do you think you're going?
I think the most astonishing timing aspect of this is that I want to say it was Gene who retweeted the original articles. And he was saying like GameSpot and IGN are standing up for the Palestinian people who are suffering right now in a way that most news media completely refuses to. And I had to admit, yeah, I was actually impressed. I was like, wow. I'm looking at my Twitter timeline and it says fucking just outright lies that are like fighting between militants and the military continue today with, and then it just says numbers of dead with no sign, and like, give me a fucking break.
I just saw something on Twitter, and I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not, but there's at least a couple of places that are investigating literally what they're looking at as potential usage of white phosphorus. Like I literally just saw that as we were talking.
You mean like they did the last time?
So it's not even like, I don't know how developing that fucking is going to turn out to be, but yeah, so anyway, there is, I think, a just pretty IGN side of things and the Ziff Davis side of things, like that's going to be, obviously that's gross, that's going to be as gross as it is.
It's wild that they made them pull it and apologize. It's just so obvious. It's just so whatever. It's
all I can really say is I think, I don't know, there's much more qualified people speaking truth on the topic, but like one of the most telling things I feel like I saw was a clip of young Biden many years ago screaming into a microphone about how like the unwavering support for what Israel's doing and everything, and the statement was something to the effect of like, we all need to be thankful that Israel exists, and if they didn't, the United States would need to create an Israel to serve the same purposes, to be an ally with.
Wow, that's extra fucked up.
That's literally like many years ago. That's what he said, and I was like, oh wow, okay, so that's a statement.
I want to give a somewhat related big shout out to The Onion. Kudos to The Onion. Particularly, and it's ironic that I forget the gentleman's name, but the writer of the Onion story that came up a couple days ago, that was IDF soldier recounts harrowing, heroic war story of killing 8-month-old child.
I did see that. Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw that people in the comments were going like, hey, who wrote this? Let us know. Win a prize. Only for the author to come out and go, I fucking wrote it. What?
Yeah.
So kudos to that gentleman for standing to their guns. Their hilarious dark humor guns.
And I mean, as we hit this and move on in whatever way, it's I think pretty. I think it almost I don't know, how do I even phrase it? Like, it goes without saying that like there is like documented fucking piece of shit garbage behavior that Hamas engages in when they're involved with like firing things from populated civilian areas that lead
I was using the internet earlier on Twitter, and I have people in my DMs going like, well, what about this and what about that?
Yeah,
and it's
of course.
These things are horrible and deplorable.
Yeah, no, they're pieces of shit for doing that.
And evil.
They're evil pieces of shit for doing that. Make no mistake, that's clear.
There is also, however, a straight line from pushing people into a cage and denying them food, water, medical supplies, and engaging in their genocide that leads to desperate evil measures.
Not to mention
When these situations equalize, we can discuss this on a more nuanced scale. But as it currently is, come on.
The mountain of child bodies is quite higher on one side of the fence than it is on the other, I suppose.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah. So yeah.
Now, I hate to get too political on this podcast, as this is a very contentious issue, but I would like to point out that Castle Super Beast is distinctly an anti-genocide podcast. Would you agree with that statement, Wooly?
You know, I didn't put it in the tags on the search description for the RSS feed.
You wouldn't think you'd have to, right?
I didn't put it in the descriptor. So we might need to update the RSS feed. Might need to throw that in there just so that's a little more clear about that.
Just in case some people can't understand.
Well, yeah, it's hard to understand sometimes. Things can be complicated.
Yeah, I guess they can. I've said what I wanted to say about the subject. How about you? Are you done with this shit show?
Pretty much. I mean, what's there? Yeah. Well, you want to spend another half an hour dunking on like child murder? I think we're good. You know?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate summary.
Yeah.
What else is new in the world of video games?
Oh, I will. Something else that came to mind is check out some of the quotes if you can. If you just wanted to, you can check out some of the quotes from some of the cabinet members on the IDF side, describing more or less the like vermin extermination kind of terminology about this whole thing.
You know what? I'm good.
Yeah, but you can go read those. Those are out there. They exist.
So like maybe this is a little personal, but I don't need to hear that from some official. Because, I mean, Wooly, you and I went to the same college. There were a lot of people we knew that took the advantage to go on the birthright trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were good friends of mine, and they were like, I can't believe these dumbass motherfuckers are giving me a free trip like I give a shit. But I knew one guy that came back crazy. One guy came back fucking nuts. And I don't need to hear it from the officials because I heard it from him. Just full-on supremacy. And it was fucking disturbing.
Yeah.
Also, I just happened to be scrolling through Twitter, and the dog is currently barking at the photos of Biden and Netanyahu. So that's appropriate. Zangief, no, that's political.
Yeah. If only, well, anyway. A lot of lives get saved by the Iron Dome. Learning about how that thing works is kind of like, yeah, it's super cool when you have that kind of protection, you know, to curve a lot of the casualties that would occur. From the pieces of shit who are firing those yes, yeah. So, all right, let's move on to our emails from our safe Canadian homes on this video game podcast.
Oh, there is actually one other piece of news that we might want to discuss that is of extreme importance to both of us on a personal level.
Okay.
Have you seen Twitch's new rollout of regional pricing?
No.
They're going to institute regional pricing. It went live today in Mexico and Turkey. 'Cause, I mean, Turkey, Mexico, 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 and Turkey. 'Cause, I mean,
What does that mean?
It means subs are going to cost way less in certain regions. Something like
Oh, good.
Steam's regional pricing.
Yo, sick. That's great news. Who's
However,
Oh. No.
it also means that when somebody from Turkey spends all that less money on their subscription to you per se, that will also be reflected back to you.
Yeah, no. Fuck it. Cool. Who cares? That's good.
It's interesting because I read it and like I guess a lot of people had like knee-jerk reactions, but it's a lot more complicated than oh no, it's a disaster or oh this is great. Because the idea is that people in regions that it would be prohibitively expensive to subscribe now are incentivized to do so.
Yeah. And the regions where it would have been like North America where that Twitch sub gets split for us, like that it means infinitely more to someone in those regions where it hurts that much more. So it's like we don't need to split like what would be a much bigger living expense from someone who's subbing in those places. By all means, make it relative across the board. That's great news.
In addition, it's like a lot of people are saying, well, aren't people gonna use VPNs to game the system? It's like, I don't know. I like to think that 99% of people that would do a subscription on something like Twitch are doing so as essentially a tip.
Well, that's what it comes down to.
Aren't going to try and game the system. They either do or do not want to.
That's exactly it. Like at the core here, you're looking at people who are hanging out, and basically people can just come watch and do whatever, or just watch the archives. But anytime anything is coming in from a sub or a donation or bits, these are all voluntary interactions. So, like, the idea of like gaming one of these types of interactions for like exploitative purposes, it's like, okay, but at the end of the day, you don't need to do any of that to watch this content. It's all here anyways,
At the end of the day,
you can even use single serving emotes are a thing too,
Yeah, I do believe it'll be a net positive overall. And to Twitch's actual credit, they are going to be still paying forward the difference for the next year with a 25% change in the difference every 3 months. So they are attempting to equalize it for those who may be affected negatively. I do think it will be a net positive, but I'm cautious. I wish we would have had more news than none at all. And Canada's not on the list
of countries being affected by this.
Yeah. So Canadians are still going to have to pay like $1-ish extra compared to everyone else on the planet.
Okay. This sounds like an all-in-all positive to me. I think that sounds fair, and I think
like the UK also is getting hit with something like that because they have to pay taxes on theirs up front.
Mm-hmm. I mean, wherever you are, to me at least, like the cost of like tuning into some internet entertainment shouldn't be anything painful, no matter what the relative economic situation is. The idea of like a bag of chips, or I don't want to equivalent, but like the idea of like, here at least it's a bag of chips, right? Whatever the equivalent would be of just like, a relatively mild support expense feels like a pretty fair thing, all things considered.
I do think it's going to be positive overall. I'm seeing a lot of folks being like, why is Pat so weird about this? And it's like, guys, I just woke up in the morning and was told by my employer that they're going to completely change how I'm paid. It's a little nerve-wracking.
The fact that they don't...
It's something you'd kind of want more warning on.
The fact that they don't inform as much as they can and should, it does suck. We have people that work at, like you have your channel manager that you can talk to about stuff, but it's kind of...
Yeah.
But
do you?
Yeah, but like you have to kind of reach out and go, hey, question stuff.
I've been waiting on a message back from that guy for 2 years.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, damn. That sounds shit. I don't have that. I have one that answers me more frequently than that.
Cool. Can I talk to yours?
I mean, might work. Yeah, no, but the transparency thing, as usual, with the internet job equals, you will find out the morning of the press release. Eat shit. So, well, let's just take some emails.
Yeah, let's do it. If you want to send an email in, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. And no, we won't be reading emails about that topic we talked about today. Don't bother sending them.
I'm going to put a filter for IGN Hutus and IGN Tutsis so that those will go straight to the trash. We got one coming in from you didn't specify your name, so I'll just call you Scotty.
Okay, Scotty. Hey, man, what's up?
Dear funny, witty ways to say Wooly and Pat, Scotty from Australia here with a well, there you go. It says you buried the lead.
Wait, seriously?
No, I was going on the email address and
Oh, okay. I thought you were just like a genius.
No, I was just pulling it out of that. From Australia with a letter. I remember, or maybe imagined, Wooly once talking about the fictional weapon used in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie called the point of view gun, where you zap someone with it and they instantly understand where you're coming from. A more terrifying device from the books was known as the total perspective vortex. When you are put in in the vortex, you are given one momentary glimpse of the entire unimaginable infinity of creation, and somewhere in it there's a tiny little speck, a microscopic dot on a microscopic dot, which says you are here. The machine usually breaks the brain of anyone who's unlucky enough to be strapped in. Anyway, since Baldur's Gate Alliance is coming to PC, my question is, what PS2 game would you like to see given the PC console port treatment?
PS2 game.
Yeah, and I think the correct answer here is definitely We Heart Katamari, since Switch got Katamari 1, but there's no Katamari 2.
Wait, really? Yeah, I agree with that.
The distant voice is growing more and more distant. You can no longer hear the screams and exclamations. But We Heart Katamari needs to come back. That's one that needs to be saved, for sure.
Yeah, man, sorry about that. I just realized the reason the dog's barking is because he was supposed to eat 42 minutes ago.
Oh, well, you fucked up. Do the food. That's okay. I got this. Yeah. Definitely you can give a nice little runners up to Drakengard, but Drakengard needs more than just a port and a fucking and a remaster. Like, the Drakengard franchise needs to be Yoko Taro'd, you know? He needs to look back at it and go, here's how I'm going to tell this story again, now knowing what we know.
If you had asked me this a couple years ago, I would have said Tony Hawk 1 and 2. If you ask me now, I'll just say Tony Hawk 3.
That's fucking, there you go. Can't go wrong with that. Those were fun. I need to go back and actually finish them, though. I kind of got caught up in other stuff that came out. We got one coming in here from G, who says, Wooly, what's that thumb wrist glove thing you're wearing on the Strive stream? I think I need something like that for my old man gamer wrists. I basically just got some hardware store gloves that are used for cutting. So there's these gloves you can get that are like, you know, good for stopping your hand from getting nicked by an X-Acto blade or scissors or something like that. And I just cut the entire, like, 4 fingers part of it off so that the thickness of the thumb part would insulate my hand off the controller. And yeah, it made a big difference with my comfort levels. Although I did notice that the base of my middle finger after the 10-hour stream was kind of swollen, because I did a 10-hour fucking strive thing, and I'm like, okay, you need to relax a little bit.
10's a little much, dude.
Yeah. So I might need to learn to play on stick just to like alleviate any issues, you know, and get comfortable going back and forth. I've already gotten all the combos and reactions going down on my fingers, so I'd have to relearn a lot of that, but I'm down to do it.
Why not switch to hitbox? It'll make the people annoyingly telling you to switch to hitbox quiet down for about 10 seconds.
I heartily endorse and support the hitbox. I just don't want to use it. But it works. It's great at its job. I have no problems with it. I just don't want it. The up part is underneath where your thumb goes. It makes sense eventually.
I don't get it.
It makes sense eventually. It's the resting place for your thumb. And then here's one coming in from Fustini, who says, "Dear Legally Distinct Logo Beasts, recently on the podcast, Pat went on about the name Jessica and people named Jessica and how they're basically the Antichrist come to eat us all. Now, I'm working my way through some of your older streams, and during Pat's Blightbound stream almost a year ago, he mentioned how Jessicas are bad and that you should get all the puss you can and run. Name me one Jessica that wasn't evil in your life." Now, I gotta ask, Pat, what happened between you and Jessica?
None of your business. And besides, the actual question is, what happened between you and Jessica's? And the answer's still none of your business.
For me, it's more so the part before that. I'm like, that's a quote. We got a quote there.
Eli and Paige were on that stream with me, I believe.
Somehow.
Paige's exact response was, "Stop it, you stop it."
That's I think that, yeah. There's one to write down.
If you ever meet a girl named Rosemary, you turn on your heel and you just start running.
Unless she has a cool partner named Time. Then you're in an MMO or an isekai. Yeah. Okay. I'm satisfied with that.
All right. If you want to tune in next week, do it. I don't know. I had no follow-up to that. I kind of expected there to be more, but there wasn't.
All right.